to deal with my family urging me to get married. I spent 9.9 yuan online to find a girl and prepared to get a fake marriage. Who would have thought that when we arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau to register, the staff looked at me with a face full of contempt. You're already married, why are you still coming here to register? Don't you know what the crime of bigamy is? After walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, looking at the newly printed marriage certificate, I was a bit dazed. The girl next to me never expected this either. Mr. Lam, you're already married, so why did you spend money to hire me? Then she left a sentence saying no deposit refund, and quickly ran away. I stood frozen in place, still unable to snap out of it. A guy who has never even held a girl's hand like me, how could I already be married? I looked at the printout in my hand once again. The man in the ID photo was indeed me, but the woman named Tom Husso. She did look very beautiful, yet I completely didn't know her. Right after that, I took out my phone to take a picture of it, and sent it to an account, with a black profile picture to help me check who she is. The other party replied, understood. Immediately suppressing the anxiety in my heart, I got on my old electric scooter, and drove into the luxury villa area. Just after parking the scooter, the sound of the servants gossiping echoed from behind. Who is he? He looks so handsome. Don't talk nonsense. He's the illegitimate child not recognized by the Lam family. Back then, his mother came right to the door with a heavily pregnant belly demanding a status. That woman really had thick skin, always finding all sorts of reasons to cling to the Lam family and refuse to leave. That brat is quite sensible, though. He has already moved out since middle school. I don't know what's going on today either. I frowned, pretending not to hear, and walked straight into the living room. As for my mother, Mrs. Lu Li, she was waiting at the door. As soon as she saw me, she hurriedly pulled me upstairs. Follow Mom to find your older brother first. Oh, right. Did you get the marriage registration certificate? Did you get the marriage certificate yet? I calmly replied, got it. She said, then that's good. You must remember your status clearly. Tham Han is your older brother's fiancé. A top-tier noble and wealthy family like that is simply not something an illegitimate child like you can aim high for. Only your older brother is worthy of her. A flash of mockery crossed my eyes. Tham Han had pursued me throughout all 4 years of university. Yet right on graduation day, she ended up with my older brother Lam Pham. Lu Lei demanded that I find someone to marry immediately, to completely end all possibilities with Tham Han. From childhood to adulthood, whenever there was a conflict of interest between me and Lam Pham, she always forced me to give in unconditionally. I looked at her coldly and said, fine. This is the last time. This time is to repay the debt of her giving birth to me. With a face full of impatience, Lu Lei said, I know. We walked to Lam Pham's room. He smiled and greeted Lam Vu. Why are you here? Before I could even open my mouth, Lu Lei cut in, Tu Pham Lam Vu got married today. Lam Pham showed a look of surprise. That fast? What kind of person is the other party? Is Tham Han okay? Lu Lei quickly replied. How could she not be? In this entire Haithan you won't find anyone with a status more noble than the young lady of the Tem family. What decent kind of person could he find? It's probably some street-dwelling gold digger. He didn't even dare to bring her back here, fearing that poor and lowly appearance would offend your eyes. Lam Pham's voice was full of sarcasm. How could that be? Lam Vu is so handsome. Otherwise, Tham Han wouldn't have pursued him for 4 whole years. What's the use of being handsome? With his kind of status, only some cheap girl, from God knows where, would agree to marry him. The young lady of the Tem family merely saw him as a toy, to play around with for a bit. Only you with your status are worthy of the young lady of the Tem family. Looking at the appearance and aura of the woman in the photo, there was no way she could be some street-dwelling gold digger, but I didn't even bother to refute it. At this moment, Lam Pham had finished putting on his watch and was about to put on his shoes, but he found his shirt too tight, making it inconvenient to bend down. He smiled and looked towards me. Lu Lei immediately gave me a shove. You useless thing! Why still don't you know how to read the room? Your older brother finds it inconvenient. Why don't you quickly help him put on his shoes? My eyes turned cold. You can put them on for him yourself. Lam Vu, what kind of attitude is that? Do you think that just because you got married, your wings have grown strong? Won't you still have to rely on the Lam family in the future? Lu Lei grew even more furious. If you don't care to please your older brother now, there will come a day when you and your wife will have to kneel down and beg him. Besides, the Lam family raised you to adulthood. You should work like a horse or an ox for the Lam family. Before I could even talk back, my father Lam Chan Nam suddenly appeared at the door. An honored guest is about to visit. What are you guys still bickering here for? Lu Lei immediately started crying and complaining. Isn't it all because of this rebellious son? Today, as soon as he got the marriage certificate, he completely stopped respecting me as his mother. Lam Chan Nam looked over at me. You got married? Why didn't you let the family introduce someone to you? Do you have the marriage registration certificate? Show it to me. Facing the concern of this estranged father, I froze for a moment, then took the printout out of my pocket. The next second it was snatched away by Lu Lei. Let me see you, scoundrel. What exactly is your wife's name? On the other side, Lam Pham curiously asked his father, who is coming, father, that makes you this nervous? Thinking of that person, Lam Chan Nam felt immensely honored. Then, he excitedly uttered a name, Tom Huso. Hearing this name, I was stunned. Right away, seeing our confused expressions, Lam Chan Nam proudly explained, "It's normal that you children don't know her. This person is very mysterious. Even I have never met her before. She is Tam Han's young aunt, only 28 years old, but she has already become the real person in power of the Tem family at present." Lu Lei blurted out instinctively. Then isn't she even more suitable than Tam Han? The person in power, after all. That's definitely much stronger than the title of the eldest granddaughter. Lam Chan Nam said directively, "What are you saying Miss Tam is already married?" I narrowed my eyes. Already married? If the person on the marriage registration certificate is really her, then it seems Tem Huso knows exactly what this is all about. Lu Lei was a bit disappointed. Who is her husband anyway? To have even greater fortune than our Tu Pham. Lam Chan Nam furrowed his brows in thought. I don't know. I heard that she and her husband both dislike banquets and social gatherings. I don't know why she is personally coming to our door today, Lu Lei asserted firmly. It's definitely because Tu Pham is so outstanding that it made the Tem family value us. Having said that, she shoved the stack of documents she hadn't yet looked at back into my hand, took Lam Pham's hand with an excited expression, and didn't forget to make a sarcastic remark. This appearance of hers is even more dedicated than the biological mother, Mrs. Lam. At this moment, the butler came upstairs to remind them that the people from the Tem family were about to arrive. Hearing this, Lam Chan Nam hurriedly went downstairs. Passing by me, he casually said, "You haven't been home in a long time either. Have a glass of wedding wine before you go." I nodded along with it. I wanted to stay and see who Tom Huso really is. In the room, Lu Lei looked at Lam Pham, the one who was about to marry a young lady from a wealthy family. In her eyes was an uncontrollable joy. More than 20 years ago, if it hadn't been for the appearance of Mrs. Lam Lai Thi Nha, then the person marrying Lam Chan Nam could only have been Lu Li. She hated Li Thi Nha, so to take revenge on Li Thi Nha, she gave birth on the exact same day as her. During that time, she swapped the two babies at the hospital. Now her biological son Lam Pham has become the young master of the Lam family, while the real young master of the Lam family became an illegitimate child, while I, the real young master, became the shunned illegitimate child instead. After going downstairs, I leaned against a dark corner next to the staircase, staring intently towards the door, silently waiting for the people from the Tem family to arrive. Not knowing how much time had passed, the Lam family lady Lai Thi Nha was helped downstairs by a servant. She wore a purple cheongsam, her figure slender, her entire being exuding an elegant and intellectual aura. The servant softly said, "Madam, your health is not good. Maybe you shouldn't come down here." Mrs. Lam shook her head while coughing. "No, for such an important day of Tu Pham. I cannot be absent." I looked at her retreating figure, my eyes filled with respect and gratitude. It's ridiculous to say, but in the Lam family she was my only warmth. When I was young, Lu Lei often starved me. Once Mrs. Lam happened to witness it. From then on, every day she would go to the flower garden right on time and leave some food for me. This continued for 12 whole years. If it hadn't been for Mrs. Lamb's kindness, perhaps I would have given up on myself a long time ago. Watching Mrs. Lam gradually walk away, and hearing her occasional coughs echoing back, I anxiously knitted my brows. Right at this moment, the sound suddenly came from outside the door. People from the Tem family had arrived. Lam Chan Nam and Mrs. Lam went to the door to welcome them. After a few pleasantries, they stepped aside. A bustling group of people marched into the hall. I immediately saw Tom Huso. That face was even more beautiful than in the photo, with a cold and aloof aura. She keenly noticed my scrutinizing gaze. She suddenly looked over. That sharp look made my heart tighten. I wanted to further examine the emotions in those eyes, but Tom Huso had already withdrawn her gaze and looked in another direction. This left me a bit confused. With this look of hers, did she actually know me or not? Lam Chan Nam smiled flatteringly. "Miss Tam, where is your husband? Did he not come with you?" The moment she said this, I felt as if Tom Huso glanced at me once again. It was inconvenient for him. Just like that, the crowd surrounded her and walked towards the living room, while Tom Han, the one who had pursued me for 4 whole years, also followed behind. She was wearing a formal dress, looking much more mature and composed than back in college. She didn't see me, only casually chatting with Lam Pham. As I was standing there silently, my arm was sharply yanked by Lu Lei. She lowered her voice and scolded. "Lam Vu, what are you still standing here for? Don't tell me you still haven't given up on Tam Han. Let me tell you she is your sister-in-law now." I brushed her hand off, letting out a mocking smile. "Don't worry, I have no interest in being the third party. It was Mr. Lam who told me to stay and have a glass of wedding wine. Ever since I learned the truth, the way I addressed Lam Chan Nam had always been Mr. Lam. Lu Li gritted her teeth in anger. That was just him being polite? And you actually took it seriously. I think you really don't know your place. On an occasion like today, even I cannot come and humiliate the Lam family. How can an illegitimate child like you expect to sit at the main table? Get lost right now. I knit my brows impatiently. Just as I was about to speak, I saw Tom Hu-so heading out to the balcony to answer a phone call. So I ignored Lu Lei, turned around, and followed her. Just as I approached Tom Hu-so while she was on the phone, she hung up. Then she looked at me with cold eyes. My footsteps paused, facing her dangerous gaze. The corner of my mouth curled up slightly as I tried calling out wife. Tham Hu-so's eyes turned freezing cold. I stared intently at Tham Hu-so to observe her reaction. But after hearing this form of address, she looked at me with a coldness that was even more terrifying, without a single ripple of emotion, and immediately turned around intending to leave. I quickly stepped forward to block her path. Don't you recognize me? Tham Hu-so looked down on me. Move aside. Should I know you? Sir, I am married. Please respect yourself. I was a bit dazed. She clearly didn't know me, yet she said she was married. Could the Civil Affairs Bureau have registered the wrong information? May I ask who your husband is? None of your business. Again, those 4 cold words. I took out the copy of the marriage registration certificate and held it out in front of her. Miss Tam, the bride's side on this should be you, right? Tham Hu-so's gaze stopped at the groom's name. She said sarcastically, Mr. Lam, making an original copy isn't that expensive, is it? If you're going to fake it, you should be a bit more professional. With that, she didn't head back to the living room, but strided from the small flower garden straight to the parking lot. I chased after her, wanting to clarify things, but was blocked by 2 bodyguards. I shouted at her retreating figure. Miss Tam, these documents are real. If you don't believe it, you can go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to check. Tham Hu-so got into her car and drove straight off. Her personal assistant stayed behind. When I returned to the living room, I bumped into Lam Pham. He happened to see me clinging to her, and a strange look flashed across his eyes. Meanwhile, Lam Chan Nam was anxiously panicking. Why did Miss Pham leave already? Was there something in our hospitality that wasn't thoughtful enough? Lam Pham clenched his fists, his tone hesitant. I saw Lam Vu constantly clinging to Miss Tam. Miss Tam was very angry and left. She even left a message, saying you should teach your family member a good lesson. With Lam Vu doing this, will the Tem family think that our family upbringing is bad? Lam Chan Nam's face immediately turned pale. In another development, riding an electric scooter, I lost track of Tom Hu-so. While I was feeling frustrated, my phone suddenly rang. Answering it, a woman's voice came from the other end. Here is the information about Tom Hu-so. It has been traced. Tham Hu-so is the second daughter of Elder Master Tam. Rumor has it that she is cold-blooded and ruthless, which is why she was sent abroad from a young age. Everyone thought the Tem family would hand over power to the eldest son, meaning into the hands of Tom Han's father. Who would have thought that Tom Hu-so suddenly returned to the country last week? No one knows what kind of lightning-fast methods she used to force the old master to abdicate, directly taking control of the Tem group. I got it. Look into her contact information and schedule further. Then I'll go find her. Hanging up, I rubbed my temples. This matter is a bit troublesome. With a status like Tom Hu-so's, meeting her is truly not easy. I shouldn't have slipped up today by calling her wife and making her leave in anger. I let out a sigh, started my beat-up scooter, and slowly headed home. Leaving the bustling and crowded city center, I arrived at an urban village in the suburbs. Back in middle school, when I moved out of the Lam family home, I didn't have much money on me and could only rent an old house here. Later, I got used to it, so I never moved out. Just as I made the turn to arrive home, an old lady about 80 or 90 years old suddenly rushed out from the roadside. I hurriedly slammed on the brakes, almost hitting her. I thought I had run into a scammer trying to extort money, but quickly noticed that the old lady was very neatly dressed. A tag was hanging around her neck, with a contact phone number written on it. At the bottom of the tag was a note. If the elderly person gets lost, please call this phone number and a reward will be given. Clearly, the old lady had Alzheimer's disease. I immediately took out my phone to enter the number on the tag, but the dazed old lady in front of me suddenly grabbed my wrist tightly. Her eyes suddenly became sharp. Grandson-in-law, you are my grandson-in-law. The corner of my mouth twitched. Single for 22 years. How did another wife suddenly pop out of nowhere today? I found it ridiculous. I casually asked, Grandma, what is your granddaughter's name? She giggled. What are you laughing at? Right, her name is Tam something. I just remembered the name. Just as she was about to say it, she forgot it again. The old lady panicked a bit, her mouth twitching continuously, but she just couldn't utter those few words. Grandma, please don't rush. It's okay if you can't remember. I reassured her and I made the phone call. At this moment, on a street not far away, Tham Hu-so was sitting inside a Bentley, her face grim. Her subordinate Lu Kuang, who was next to her, didn't even dare to breathe heavily. It's because I didn't watch over her well and let the old madam wander off. She didn't say anything, her entire body radiating a cold aura. The old madam was dazed most of the time. Who would have thought that today she would suddenly become lucid, dismiss everyone and sneak out the door? Checking the security cameras, they only just discovered that the old madam had actually taken a bus all by herself to the suburbs. This area was quite old and dilapidated. Many streets didn't even have surveillance cameras installed. They could only search by combing through every inch of ground. Right at this moment, her phone suddenly rang. Thamhuso answered it immediately. My indifferent voice echoed from the other end of the line. "Hello, your family member is currently in my hands." Hearing this, the atmosphere inside the car instantly froze. Everyone took action immediately. Someone prepared to report to the police, and Lu Kuang was also tracing the signal of the caller. Thamhuso's gaze was razor-sharp, her voice cold. "Just how much money do you want?" "Just kidding. I just want to remind you to take good care of your grandma in the future." After that, I gave the address and hung up. 5 minutes later, they arrived at the old lady's location, while I had already left a long time ago. There was only a police officer waiting there with the old lady. Thamhuso asked, "Grandma, why did you come all the way here?" The old lady had a secretive look on her face. "I came to find my grandson-in-law. He lives right near here." Thamhuso paused. "Grandma, you don't even have a grandson-in-law." "No way. I just met him. That heartless brat handed me over to the police and just left." "Oh, right, give me your phone for a moment." Thamhuso handed the phone to her. The old lady then took from the call log the phone number that had just called earlier and wrote it down in a small notebook. She was overjoyed. "Finally, I have my grandson-in-law's contact information." Early the next morning, I received a phone call from Professor On, my university advisor. Just as I walked into the office, I saw that Lam Pham and Lu Lei were also there. Both Lam Pham and I studied at Haithan University. He always claimed to be an elite student, while I, in order not to overshadow his glory, had intentionally chosen the most obscure major, energy and power engineering. But who would have thought that 2 years ago, the new energy sector suddenly boomed? Lam Pham immediately transferred departments, becoming my classmate once again. Lam Pham being here could be considered normal. But why was Lu Lei here? Just as I was thinking about that, I saw Professor On with a serious face. "Lam Vu, your straight-to-graduate school admission slot has been cancelled. Your mother said your conduct and background are not upright, which doesn't fit the requirements for direct admission. Is there some misunderstanding between you and your mother? Quickly apologize to her. Your future is very bright. Don't let a momentary fit of anger ruin your prospects." Lam Pham sighed. Professor On. "Lam Vu's mother only wants what's best for him, too." He turned to look at me. "You've offended Miss Tam. Miss Tam has dropped a hint that she wants you to disappear from this Haithan." I was dazed for a long time before I understood. The Miss Tam he spoke of was exactly Thamhuso, but I had only spoken a few words to her. And furthermore, when she left yesterday, she didn't look like she was angry at all. On the contrary, Lam Pham was the one who was a habitual liar. While I was thinking, Lam Pham stepped in front of me. "Lam Vu, this is the plane ticket Dad bought for you. He wants you to go abroad to take refuge for a while. Otherwise, the Lam family won't be able to protect you either." A flash of mockery crossed my eyes. "Aren't you just afraid that I'll implicate the Lam family?" "What?" Seeing that, I didn't accept it. Lam Pham took out a bank card again. "Are you worried about not having money for living expenses abroad? There is 50,000 RMB in here. This is the personal living allowance I'm giving you. Just take it and use it for now. Later on, if I have more pocket money, I'll give you some more." The noble eldest young master of the Lam family, and he can only afford 50,000 RMB. I found it ridiculous. Right at this moment, Lu Lei suddenly snatched the bank card away. "Lam Pham, what are you doing?" The Lam family being willing to buy him a plane ticket is already more than generous enough. She glared and ordered me, "Pack your bags and go abroad right now. I have already processed the withdrawal paperwork for you." I looked at her coldly. "By what right do you get to make decisions for me? Based on the fact that I am your mother, furthermore with your academic performance, graduating would be difficult anyway. You might as well go out to work and earn money early." Professor On couldn't help but speak up. "Lam Vu's mother, you've misunderstood him. Master Lam." Before he could finish his sentence, he was directly interrupted by Lu Lei. "Professor On, you don't need to speak up for him. What kind of person he is, as if I wouldn't know clearly. He wants to go to graduate school, just because he saw Lam Pham doing it and wanted to copy him. He really doesn't know how to look in a mirror and see what kind of a trash he is. What qualifications does he have to compare himself to Lam Pham?" Professor On was speechless. He looked at Lam Pham in surprise. "I recall you didn't have a straight-to-graduate school slot, nor did you take the graduate school entrance exam." Lam Pham smiled modestly. "I'm going through the special recruitment program." Seeing the professor's confusion, he feigned humility. "It's thanks to Dr. Vu, who researches clean fuels. His Hydrogen A project was successful, has been patented, and he was awarded a doctorate." I was secretly astonished. Dr. Vu, how come I didn't know that I was planning to specially recruit Lam Pham to repay the care of the Lam family? Over the years, I had always used the pseudonym Dr. Vu to provide technical support for the Lam family's company, and even fabricated an identity as a sponsored student. Lam Pham continued to make up stories. Back then, my mother sponsored Dr. Vu's studies, so after becoming successful, Dr. Vu came to our house and said my mother was his life-saving benefactor. Over the years, he has always provided technical support to our family company. He definitely won't refuse any request of mine. Professor An believed it to be true and asked where Dr. Vu was. He pointed at me and said, "The dean will invite Dr. Vu to our university to teach." Professor An said to me with joy, "Lam Vu, your research direction is similar to Dr. Vu's. When the time comes, I will recommend you to him. If Dr. Vu is willing to say a word for you, perhaps there is still hope for your straight-to-graduate school slot." Lam Pham pretended to be worried. "Professor, An, is it okay to do that? The Tem family is the wealthiest clan in Haithang, pouring a lot of research funding into our university every year. Dr. Vu is currently highly sought after. If Dr. Vu is willing to step forward, the university will definitely choose Dr. Vu." Lam Pham sighed and said, "But Dr. Vu does it out of respect for my mother. If it were me, he would definitely do his best to help. But Lam Vu is my father's illegitimate son, and stands on the opposite side of my mother. Lam Vu, how about I go ask Dr. Vu to help you?" I rejected him with a cold laugh. At this moment, Lam Pham was no different from a jumping clown. I said to Professor An, "Professor An, you know that? Originally, I didn't want to go to graduate school either." Lee curled her lips. "Don't waste your breath anymore. You've offended the young lady of the Tem family, yet you still want to find a job in Haithang. Dream on. I don't believe there is someone who can cover the sky with one hand in this Haithang. If you really can't find a job, then come and work as my teaching assistant," Professor An said angrily. He turned his head to look at me gently, warming my heart. "Professor, it's just a small misunderstanding between me and Miss Tam. It'll be fine once clarified, so you don't need to worry." Seeing this, Lam Pham clenched his fists. He said in a sarcastic voice, "Lam Vu, don't tell me you're still planning to go and cling to Miss Tam. She is already married. It's really not good for you to do that." Lulei expectedly flew into a rage, and then she swung her hand and slapped me straight across the face. I looked at Lulei in disbelief, never expecting that she would dare to strike so suddenly, right in front of Professor An. Lulei didn't feel guilty at all. She pointed at my nose and scolded, "Not seeing me for a few years. I see you've completely forgotten the house rules. Apologize to your older brother right now, and guarantee that you won't meet Miss Tam ever again." The warmth gradually faded from my eyes, leaving only coldness. It seemed that she didn't care at all about my words, of "this is the last time" that day, still viewing me as that foolish child, who always endured submissively and always put Lam Pham first, right? Since reasoning doesn't work, then don't blame me for being unsparing. Lam Pham stood watching nearby, a sense of complacency rising in his heart. When we were young, I always had to cower before him, getting scolded without talking back and beaten without retaliating. Later, when I moved out and met him again in college, I clearly still had that same poor and lowly appearance, yet I actually dared to stand tall in front of him. It must be because I hadn't been beaten for a few years, so I forgot the hierarchy. Today, just let Lulei give him a lesson he'll never forget. Just as Lam Pham thought of that, he saw me slowly step up in front of him. Right when he curled his lips into a smile, thinking that I was going to apologize to him, I suddenly raised my head and threw a hard punch straight into his face. Lam Pham's head spun, his consciousness dazed by the blow. Lulei roared and rushed towards Lam Vu. "How dare you hit him?" I turned my head coldly, my entire body radiating a wave of murderous intent. Lulei was shocked by my demeanor and stood frozen in her tracks. "What are you planning to do, you ungrateful wolf? I am your mother. Don't tell me you even want to strike me too." My voice was ice cold, emphasizing every single word. "Since you are not kind, don't blame me for being unfilial. From now on, don't interfere in my life ever again. If you still dare to do anything to me, I will make Lam Pham pay double the price." Withdrawing my gaze, I bowed deeply to Professor An. "Thank you for your care for me over the past 4 years, and said that after I finished handling these matters, I would be back." After leaving those words, I decisively turned around and left. Not until my figure vanished from the room did Lulei shockedly snap out of it. At this moment, as I just walked out of the school gate, Queen Wit called me. "Boss, everything has been investigated thoroughly. I understand why Tham Hu So claimed to the public that she is married, yet completely didn't know you. The Tem family looks glamorous on the outside, such a powerful clan. But over the past few years, their internal warfare has been extremely fierce. The old master is biased toward the family of the eldest son, wanting to hand the Tem family over to the main branch. Tham Hu So is the youngest daughter, so she has always been oppressed. A few years ago, the old master selected some good-for-nothing candidates for Tam Hu So, intending to use her for a marriage alliance. At that time, the matter was causing a huge uproar and couldn't be settled, until Tam Hu So said that she had registered her marriage to a husband from an ordinary background. Only then did this matter finally stop. But when it comes to this husband of hers, it's quite interesting. He has never appeared before the public, nor has he ever attended any of the Tem family's banquets. In short, there is only one truth, which is, Queen Wit dragged out her voice secretively. But before she could say the result, I suddenly understood everything. Have you found her schedule and contact information yet? Queen Wit paused for a moment. I'll send you her schedule for the next few days in a bit. I couldn't find her personal phone number. It's okay. I'll go intercept her. For someone with a status like Tam Hu So's, a personal phone number is highly confidential. It was normal not to find it. It's normal not to find it. Queen Wit immediately gossiped. She always has bodyguards around her, so she's not easily accessible. Do you plan to use force, or should you be a bit discreet lately? The corner of my mouth curled into an implied smile. In front of the Tem Group building, I adjusted the courier uniform. On my body, held a package and walked inside, telling the receptionist that there was a package for Miss Tam, which needed her personal signature. After the receptionist called the secretary's office, she allowed me to go upstairs in the dedicated elevator to the 88th floor, the highest floor. Stepping out of the elevator, the view immediately opened up. The secretary's office was a whole large department. More than 100 people worked here, solely to serve Tam Hu So alone. I followed the secretary who came to greet me, and smoothly reached the chairman's office. Knocking on the door, a very pleasant voice came from inside. Come in. Just when I thought I would get to see Tam Hu So smoothly, a figure suddenly blocked me. Stop right there. Lu Kuang furrowed his brows and sized me up. Mr. Lam, why is it you again? Lu Kuang's expression was very ugly. He still remembered clearly what happened yesterday, when I harassed Tam Hu So at the Lam family home. Tam Hu So didn't hold a grudge against me, yet who would have thought that today I would give them an inch and take a mile, even disguising myself as a courier to come all the way here to cling to her. He waved his hand to call 2 bodyguards over. What is this? No identity check at all. Now any riffraff can come up to the top floor. You guys kick him out of here immediately. My expression remained unchanged. What do you mean by this? Does the Tem Group look down on couriers like us? Lu Kuang sneered. You really know how to play the victim. We respect all professions. But are you actually a courier? Do you have a courier ID? As soon as Lu Kuang finished speaking, an employee ID card was presented, right in front of his face. His face stiffened up. Don't tell me you just registered for this today? The employee ID card in front of him was opened, clearly showing the registration date on it. Lu Kuang was astonished. 8 years ago, you were actually a delivery guy. Working part-time to earn money for school, is that not allowed? My voice lazily echoed into the room. Miss Tham, can you cooperate with my work now? A pleasant voice came from inside the room. Let him in. I glanced at Lu Kuang provocatively. Seeing that he was about to blow a fuse, I then slipped past him to enter the door. Tam Hu So's office featured a luxurious minimalist style, making the place look without a single trace of warmth. After signing the stack of documents in her hand, only then did Tam Hu So raise her head, her bright eyes showing no emotion at all. I pointed at the delivery slip Miss Tam sign here. Her gaze rested on me for a moment. Then she picked up a pen and signed her name. At this moment, I suddenly blurted out an astonishing sentence. Miss Tam, actually you aren't married yet, right? The woman's pen paused. She raised her head, her cold gaze locking tightly onto me. I knew I had guessed right. When registering information at the Civil Affairs Bureau, one must fill out personal information by hand. There could be no mistake. Tam Hu So claimed to the outside world that she was married, yet she completely didn't know me. After a preliminary investigation, the truth could only be that Tam Hu So, in order to deal with her family urging her to get married, had created a fake husband on paper. She had never been to the Civil Affairs Bureau, so she didn't know at all that we were married. I said seriously, Miss Tam, I know what I'm saying sounds unbelievable, but we are truly married. Tam Hu So slowly sat up in a dignified manner. A clear look of mockery appeared on her face. Mr. Lam, don't waste your breath anymore. Even if I weren't married, there's no way I would marry you just to spite Tom Han. I was a bit dazed. She only knew about the past between me and Tom Han, so she thought I was looking for her to seek revenge. That was why she never believed my words. I quickly explained, I'm not looking for you because of Tom Han, but because I want to get a divorce from you. I don't care about your emotional conflicts. Tam Hu So interrupted me. After finishing her signing, she handed the delivery slip to me. Don't come and bother me anymore. Otherwise, don't blame me for being unsparing. Hearing that, I also got a bit annoyed. Haven't you already been unsparing with me a long time ago? You've already announced that you'll make me disappear from Haithan. Tam Hu So furrowed her brows. When did I? Before she could finish her sentence, her phone suddenly rang. It was her grandmother's dedicated ringtone. She answered it immediately. The voice of the caregiver echoed from the other end. "Miss Tham, the old madam, has disappeared again." Tham Hu-so hurriedly went outside in a panic. I still wanted to chase after her to make things clear, but was blocked by Lu Kuang again. "Mr. Lam, I advise you to stop right here." Just like that, I was escorted out of the Tem group. Right when I returned to my doorstep, I suddenly turned my head around and saw the old lady I met last time, tiptoeing and sneakily following behind me. My face was full of helplessness. Just as I was about to speak, the old lady suddenly grabbed my wrist tightly again. "Grandson-in-law, don't you dare abandon Grandma again." Inside the rented house, the old lady sat by the dining table and drank 3 glasses of water in one go. "I'm really not lying to you. I'm really not your grandson-in-law." The old lady was very stubborn. She grabbed the glass of water and drank another glass, gulping it down. I knew that talking to her wouldn't clear things up, so I took out my phone and called the same number from last time. As soon as the phone rang once, someone answered immediately. "Hello." I vaguely felt that this woman's voice sounded a bit familiar. I thought for a moment before remembering. Just as I was about to say something, the phone was suddenly snatched away by the old lady. At this moment, Tham Hu-so was leading a group of people searching around that area. Her expression remained calm and composed, but her heart was filled with anxiety. Grandma didn't just have Alzheimer's. For an 87-year-old elderly person, her bodily organs had already begun to age a long time ago, putting her in life-threatening danger at any moment. The moment the phone rang, she answered it immediately. Then she heard Grandma's voice, coming through remarkably energetic. "You silly girl, don't come to pick me up. I am currently staying with my grandson-in-law." This phone number belonged to the young man from last time, meaning Grandma was staying with him again. With a grim face, Tham Hu-so asked where she was. "I'm not telling you. Do you think I won't be able to find you if you don't tell me? I forbid you from coming to look for me, and you are not allowed to send anyone to investigate either." Tham Hu-so scratched her head in frustration. She covered the microphone, feeling helpless, and asked the attending doctor about the old madam's condition. "Can we force her to come back?" The doctor shook his head and replied in a low voice, "The old madam cannot handle any emotional excitement right now. It's best to go along with her wishes." The young man from last time didn't look like a bad person either. With a face full of helplessness, Tham Hu-so coaxed her again over the phone. "Grandma, I still need to send your medicine to you." "No need to send any medicine. I brought it with me. Just rest assured, and wait obediently for me to bring your grandson-in-law home to you." After saying that, the old lady hung up immediately. She handed the phone back to me with a gleeful expression. "Grandson-in-law, it's all settled." Meanwhile, I was utterly bewildered. What kind of relatives are so unreliable? Just leaving an elderly person with a stranger like this? Just as I was about to call back, a WeChat notification chimed. Someone had sent a friend request via phone number, with the note, "The old lady's granddaughter." I accepted the other party's friend request. The granddaughter quickly sent a message. "Please take care of my grandma for a while. Her health hasn't been good lately, and she can't handle any emotional excitement." I let out a scoff, holding my phone and coldly replying, "Inconvenient. My place is not a charity organization." Before I could even finish typing the words, I suddenly heard a noise coming from inside the kitchen. I hurriedly went over and saw the old lady boiling an egg. I casually asked, "Grandma, are you hungry and want to eat an egg?" On the old lady's wrinkled face, a gentle smile appeared. "Grandson-in-law, take this egg and roll it on your face to reduce the swelling." I was stunned. Perhaps even I didn't realize that. After being slapped by my biological mother today, although I appeared not to care on the outside, in reality, my entire body was shrouded in a layer of cold air, separating me from this world. Now the old lady's words completely dissipated. The coldness on my body and warmth gradually returned deep within my eyes. Then I looked back at my phone and saw that in the chat interface with Miss Tam, an orange frame suddenly popped up. Received a transfer of 300,000 RMB, along with a note, "This is the living allowance. For 1 week. If it's not enough, let me know." I looked at my input field, re-edited the message. "Fine. I don't know why I suddenly poked my nose into someone else's business. It must be because the other party offered too much money." At this moment at the Lam family home, Lam Fam's cheek was swollen up, the handprint still vividly visible. Lu Lei bowed her head. "That beast Lam Vu, he must be jealous because you are about to marry. Miss Tam Han, wait until your dad gets back. Let him teach him a lesson he'll never forget." At this time, Li Thinya forced her sick body to come down from upstairs. Her voice was weak, but her tone was firm. "Lam Vu is not that kind of person. You guys must have done something to anger him first." Seeing this, though unwilling, Lam Fam still changed the subject. "Mom, can you invite Dr. Vu to Haithan University to be a faculty advisor?" Mrs. Lam immediately and forcefully refused. "Lam Fam, you must not use a debt of gratitude to coerce someone." Furthermore, Dr. Vu has already done more than enough for this family and the company over all these years. Lam Pham wasn't surprised at all. Haithun University is the best school in this area. Perhaps Dr. Vu himself wants to go too. It just so happens that I can help connect him with the university's side, which could also be considered a repayment for Dr. Vu's help for such a long time. Mrs. Lam found these words reasonable, so she took out her phone and opened WeChat. Then let Mom ask him to see how it goes. Lam Pham sat down next to Mrs. Lam and said that since Dr. Vu had helped their family so much, any favor had already been fully repaid a long time ago. Should our family host a banquet to treat him a bit? When the time comes, wouldn't it be better? If you ask him directly, Dr. Vu always fulfilled every request of Mrs. Lam. As long as he came, he planned to propose becoming his graduate research student. Dr. Vu would definitely not refuse. Mrs. Lam was convinced. She sent a WeChat message to Dr. Vu. "Tiu Vu, do you have time to drop by our house for a visit?" After seeing this message, my heart tightened immediately. Why did Mrs. Lam suddenly want to meet? Could it be that her health was not good? Thinking of Mrs. Lamb's coughing, my heart was extremely anxious. I stood up, planning to go right away. "I'm free, I'll head over right now." But just as I was about to hurriedly leave, Mrs. Lamb's next WeChat message arrived. "No need. Today is Saturday. Are you working overtime? I want to invite you to an intimate dinner." Only then did I realize that I was so concerned that I had lost my composure. Thinking back to the scene of being kicked out of the Lam family home 10 years ago, the corner of my mouth turned into a bitter smile. So many years have passed. It's about time we should meet. After that, I messaged back. "It should be my treat instead, 6 p.m. this Saturday. Be there or be square." Having said that, I sent over the location of a restaurant. When I exited the chat with Mrs. Lam, I saw that Tom Huso had sent a few messages. The content was a few words of instruction for taking care of Grandma. Seeing this, I quietly stepped closer, recorded a short video, and sent it to Tam Huso. On the roadside, not far away, 2 fully equipped camper vans were parked quietly. Tam Huso was sitting on the sofa working on her computer. At this moment, a WeChat notification suddenly chimed. Tam Huso picked up her phone to check, and then that frozen face, unchanged for 10,000 years, actually showed a brief look of astonishment. The family doctor immediately asked, "Did something happen to the old madam?" Tam Huso pursed her lips and showed him the video. Seeing the old madam lying on a floral bedsheet, sleeping very soundly. It was only 9 p.m. right now. Normally, if the old madam could fall asleep before 1 a.m., it would already be a blessing from heaven. The family doctor was full of amazement. The old madam truly feels differently toward this young man. If we can have him stay by the old madam's side constantly, the old madam's health will definitely take a turn for the better. Tam Huso's gaze deepened, seemingly calculating something. Early the next morning, I received a message from Tam Huso. Messaging back and forth a few times always gave Tam Huso a sort of feeling like she was chatting with an old friend. She suddenly asked, "Can I come to visit Grandma tonight?" "Of course, you are always welcome." After that, I sent her a specific address. At this moment, I was standing outside the door, waiting rather boredly. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoed. I turned my head around and encountered a familiar face. It was Tom Han. The face that was always gentle and thoughtful in my memory was now looking at me with a gloomy expression. Back in college, I was always lonely and by myself, while Tom Han was enthusiastic and open. She always stood by my side and could be considered my only friend. It's just that right now the identities of both of us were a bit awkward. I hesitated for a moment before speaking up. "Is something the matter?" Tham Han laughed coldly. "Lam Pham has already told me about your background. Why did you hide it and not say anything? Well, I was just like a fool, chasing after someone like you for 4 whole years. Is it very fun?" My chest felt as if it were being squeezed by a large hand. I never expected that a 4-year college friendship could be shattered so easily like this. I took a step back to keep my distance from her. Tham Han took another step forward to question me. "Do you have nothing you want to explain to me?" I let out a scoff, "No." After saying that, I turned around intending to leave, since she looked down on my background. Then there was no need to keep this friend anyway. My decisive demeanor made Tom Han extraordinarily frustrated. Seeing me move further and further away from her, without thinking, she grabbed my hand. "You are not allowed to leave." I turned my head to look at her. "Is there anything else?" Tham Han's expression was tense, the anger in her heart surging. Clearly, I was the one who let go first. "So why does it look as though I am the one being abandoned?" Then I heard her sarcastic voice again. "Are you still working part-time here? It seems you still haven't found an official job, huh? How about coming to work as a personal assistant for me?" I was trying to break free from her pull, coldly refusing. "I'm afraid I can't handle it." Tham Han still persisted. "You don't need to do much. I have an apartment near the company. You just need to stay there and take care of my daily life every day, that's all. Paying you 50 million Vietnamese dong each month, is that enough?" My gaze instantly turned bone-chillingly cold. You want me to be your mistress? Tham Han sneered. You can definitely do this well right. After all, your mother is that kind of mistress. Hearing and seeing it since childhood, it can be considered a family tradition. I believe you will definitely be very professional. Hearing up to here, I directly shoved her down to the ground, looking at her coldly. That's enough. But after she stood up, she wasn't angry at all and even smiled. I'll give you time to think about it. If you change your mind, just come find me at any time. Tham Han left those words behind and walked away. I mocked myself with a scoff. In the evening, Tam Huso left work on time and went to an old apartment complex in the suburbs. In her hand, she was carrying a bag of fruit. Following the address on WeChat, she knocked on the door. Seeing that Grandma still looked very healthy, only then did she look around. Although it was only a 60-square-meter two-bedroom apartment, it was extremely neat and cozy. However, there was the sound of running water in the bathroom. Tam Huso hurriedly withdrew her gaze as if shocked by electricity. The family doctor followed behind her. As he was about to enter, he was stopped by her. Hand the equipment to me. You go wait in the car. Tam Huso quickly measured the old lady's blood pressure and checked her blood sugar, heart rate, and other indicators. Perhaps because she slept very well last night, all the measured indicators were very healthy. The old lady said proudly, "My grandson-in-law takes very good care of me." Seeing is believing. Tham Huso was finally at ease. Her gaze glanced toward the bathroom once more. Finally, she packed up the equipment. "Since you are fine, then I'll be leaving first." The old lady said happily, "Aren't you staying for dinner? My grandson-in-law cooks very well. It's not very convenient." Tham Huso put down the testing equipment. "Just leave this here." The old lady rolled her eyes. "Take it with you. If you leave it here, my grandson-in-law won't know how to use it either. Besides, I don't want Dr. Tu Fuang to come here. I want you to come and check on me every day." Just as Tam Huso was about to say something, the sound of water in the bathroom suddenly stopped. She immediately stood up, picked up the medical kit, and hurried to the door. "Then I'll take my leave first. I'll come again tomorrow." Right at the moment the door closed, I happened to finish putting on my clothes and walked out of the bathroom. "Where is your granddaughter?" "She left. She said she had something inconvenient. That girl's personality is too rigid, and she always puts on a cold face. Grandson-in-law. Is that why you don't like her? It can all be changed." "Grandma, I'm not your grandson-in-law." "You are my grandson-in-law." I felt helpless. Through 2 days of interaction, I noticed that the old lady was very gentle. She listened to me in everything, except for this one matter where she was extremely stubborn. A few days later, the old lady suddenly said she wanted to go home to get a few sets of clothes. So I messaged the granddaughter asking for the address. But when I opened that location, I was instantly stunned. Manor number 1. Isn't this the Tem family home? That is the most famous wealthy neighborhood in Haithan. I thought the old lady's house was just some small villa. I didn't dare think of the Tem family. But after arriving at the place, I looked up at the antique appearance in front of me, the majestic large black gate carved with exquisite patterns. I hesitated and asked, "Grandma, is this your house?" The old lady blinked her sleepy eyes slightly, her gaze a bit dazed. "Grandson-in-law, I don't remember anymore." Helpless, I had to send a message to her granddaughter. She replied immediately, "You two just wait there. I'll be right there." Not long after, a luxury car stopped in front of us. Lam Pham and Lu Lei stepped down from the back seat and rushed straight over to us. Lu Lei furrowed her brows tightly. "Lam Vu, it really is you. What are you doing here?" Today she took on the role of a nanny to accompany Lam Pham to visit the Tem family. From afar, she had seen someone loitering in front of the Tem family gate. She didn't expect that person to actually be me. Lam Pham looked at the tightly closed gate of the Tem family. "Lam Vu, did you come to bother Miss Tam Huso again?" As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Lei shouted loudly, "You beast! Look at what day it is today. Get lost right now. If you ruin Lam Pham's engagement ceremony, I won't let you off." Although I was sick to death of them, because the old lady was here, I didn't want to have a conflict with them, so I suppressed my patience and explained that I only came to bring the old lady home and that I just took the wrong path. Lam Pham instinctively blurted out, "Isn't this your wife's grandmother? How could she live in this villa area?" I questioned him back, why shouldn't she be able to? Lu Lei, standing nearby, scolded me again. "What else are you putting on an act for? The kind of grandmother of that dirt-poor wife of yours expects to live here." She looked straight at the old lady. "Old woman, why don't you tell me? Which villa number do you live in?" Hearing that, I furrowed my brows, intending to say something. But the old lady suddenly stood straight up. "I remember now. I live here. Grandson-in-law, follow me back home." She pulled my hand and walked toward the main gate of the Tem family. From here to the main gate was still about 100 meters. But after just a few steps, Lam Pham spoke up. "Lam Vu, you find all sorts of reasons. Isn't it still because you want to use this old woman as a shield to sneak into the Tem family?" My footsteps halted. I looked in surprise at the Tem family home in front of me. Even though when I saw this grand and majestic gate, I already had a vague suspicion in my heart, I could by no means connect the person on WeChat, that polite and elegant granddaughter, with a cold and heartless Tamhu So. Perhaps the old lady remembered wrong. Just as I was about to confirm it once more, Lulei suddenly rushed over and grabbed the old lady. "I won't allow you guys to go to the Tem family to cause trouble." I was startled, using one hand to shield the old lady, and the other hand to grab Lulei, pushing her away with force. "What are you doing?" Lulei was pushed back several steps. After standing firmly again, she immediately opened her mouth to scold me for being ungrateful. "You dare to hit your own biological mother for the sake of this old thing? I will call the police." I didn't bother to pay attention to her hurriedly looking at the old lady. The old lady had never been scolded like that by anyone before. She was already so angry that her entire body was trembling. Her hand pressed tightly against her chest, her body shaking uncontrollably. I hurriedly supported her, immediately taking the heart-saver pill bottle out of her coat pocket, urgently. However, after opening the cap, I discovered that it was empty inside. My pupils contracted. The elderly's health is very fragile. Unless it's a last resort, one shouldn't perform CPR on the chest for resuscitation. It's best to take medication. I suddenly looked toward that door. The Tem family will definitely have medicine. Even if the old lady isn't from the Tem family, she is still their neighbor. They wouldn't just leave someone to die. I picked up the old lady, but was pulled back tightly by Lam Pham grasping my arm. "Amvu, don't be like this. The Tem family won't let you in." He looked toward the old lady, a trace of grimness flashing through his eyes. At this moment, I felt like I was going crazy with rage. Sky-high anger surging in my eyes. I raised my leg and kicked him down to the ground. But in the next second, my leg was hugged tightly by someone. Lulei sat flat on the ground, hugging me tightly without any regard for her image. I was so angry that my entire body was shaking. Because I was concerned about the old lady I was holding in my arms, I couldn't break free for a while. Right at this moment, a black Bentley slowly drove up. Tamhu So got out of the car and asked loudly, "What are you guys doing?" Lam Pham hurriedly spoke up. "Miss Tam, it's Lam Vu." He insisted on bringing a dying old woman to the Tam family to scam you guys. It's all my fault for not stopping him. Hearing these words, after Tamhu So saw clearly that the person I was holding was her grandma, her pupils contracted. She walked toward us with quick steps. Grandma was the person closest to her. Over the past few years, the old lady's health had been declining day by day. Tamhu So was clearly panicked to the extreme. I didn't have time to explain. Hurriedly running over, "The old lady is having a heart attack. The medicine she brought with her happens to be completely empty. If she takes the medicine in time, she will be fine." Tamhu So's eyes reddened. Supporting Grandma, she rushed straight into the Tem family home without turning her head back. I couldn't follow inside, because my leg was still being hugged tightly by Lulei. Lam Pham was still doubting the old lady's identity. Lulei then let go of me, brushing off the dust while sneering. "Didn't you rely on this? To bring that dying thing and barge into the Tem family?" At this time, the main gate of the Tem family opened. Tham Han walked outside. With a flattering face, Lam Pham said, "Sister Tam Han, you could have just waited for me at the parking lot. Why did you even come all the way to the main gate like this?" Tam Han forced out a touch of gentleness. "I was worried you wouldn't know the way since it's your first time coming here." She immediately looked over at me, the initial gentleness instantly turning into coldness. "Lam Vu, did you come to find me because you've thought things through?" My face darkened and I didn't say a word. "If you've thought it through, just calling me would do." "Who gave you permission to come to the Tem family home? Is the main gate of the Tem family a place that a bastard like you can enter?" Tam Han sneered. "But if you really want to go inside and have a look, that's fine too." "Sister, you've misunderstood," Lam Pham interrupted. "Lam Vu, he is waiting for his wife's grandmother. The old lady just had a heart attack and was suddenly carried inside by Miss Tamhu So for emergency care." Tam Han's eyes turned red with anger, and she gritted her teeth. "What wife? Lam Vu, who is that woman?" I looked at Tam Han mockingly. "Who my wife is has nothing to do with you. How is it not related? I must see for myself. Without my permission, who dares to marry you?" Lam Pham hurriedly replied, "I heard Lam Vu's mother say she's a loose woman." Tam Han clenched her fists. "How could you degrade yourself like that, a bastard? And a loose woman. They truly are a match made in heaven." Lam Pham continued to add fuel to the fire. "Lam Vu is probably unwilling to accept it too, right? That's why he keeps clinging to Miss Tamhu So." I sneered. "Lam Pham, do you really consider yourself the young master of the Lam family? Is your head full of nothing but filthy things? Aside from sleeping around and being scandalous, is there nothing else?" Hearing that, Lam Pham's face darkened and he clenched his fists tightly. "I know you did this to get revenge on me and Sister Tam Han, which is why you married Miss Tamhu So a long time ago, right? You shouldn't go around ruining other people's marriages." Hearing these words, Tam Han became absolutely furious. For the past 2 days, she had been waiting for my phone call, thinking that if I knew my place and begged for forgiveness, it wouldn't be impossible to spare me and give me a way out. It turned out I had already found someone else long ago. Thinking of this, she immediately flew into a rage. I knew it. Why else would your wife's grandmother be right at my doorstep? It turns out you came here to find Tuan. Lamvu, how could you be so despicable? She was so angry she was burning up. She pointed her finger at me and instructed the guards. Take a good look clear. Remember this face. He is not allowed to step foot into the Tem family home, not even half a step. Lampham lowered his head, hiding a smug smile on the corner of his lips. At this main gate of the Tem family, Thamhan could still make half the decisions. However, immediately after that, the butler of the Tem family walked out from inside. He glanced over everyone once, then stepped in front of me and said, "Mr. Lamvu, Miss Tamhuso invites you inside." Lampham was stunned. Thamhan's eyes widened, her mouth agape. I raised my head, flashing a faint smile as I looked toward the guard. "So can I go in now?" The guard sneakily glanced at Tamhan, then opened the door without any hesitation. In the Tem family, who makes the final call? He still knew very well. After stepping inside the door, Thamhan's group also followed behind. Lule glared at me with pure hatred. "Miss Tam Huso probably asked you to come and pick up your grandmother. Once you get her, you two should know your place and get lost quickly. Don't dirty the carpets of the Tem family." Following those words, the group walked into the living room together, where they immediately saw the old madam of the Tem family sitting, bright in the main seat on the sofa. The old lady looked at them in anger. "You vicious woman! Who are you calling a beast?" The old lady had changed into a luxurious outfit by now, but her complexion was still not very good. Thamhuso sat coldly to her left. Lule stood frozen on the spot. While Lampham's limbs went weak, he almost collapsed to the ground, luckily, caught by Tom Han. "What's wrong with you?" Lampham's hands were trembling violently. He suddenly let out a bitter laugh. "Lamvu, why did you lie to me, saying the old madam of the Tem family was your wife's grandmother, causing us to be disrespectful to her?" I immediately felt several suspicious glances in the room shifting toward me. Lule had also reacted. "You clearly knew the old madam suffers from senile dementia, yet you still dared to deceive her. What do you take the Tam family for? Kneel down and apologize to me right now." My gaze deepened. "So they want to dump all the blame on my head. Lampham is taking this opportunity to clear his name. Truly a clever tactic." A teacup was thrown over by the old lady, hitting Lule right on her body. The scalding hot tea inside spilled all over her, but Lule didn't dare to let out a single cry. "You scoundrel!" the old madam shouted angrily. "He is my grandson-in-law!" Suppressing the pain from the burn, Lule said, "Old madam, you've been deceived by him. I am certain his wife is just a thug. There's no need to argue anymore. Just ask the person involved directly. And won't that settle it?" Thamhan's mother, standing nearby, spoke up. "Huso, is he really your husband?" I quietly looked toward Tam. Huso, and then heard the response exactly as expected. "No." Truly someone who repays kindness with enmity, an ungrateful woman. A flash of anger sparked in my eyes. Lampham, however, showed a look of sheer joy, and immediately let out a sigh of relief. Lule pouted and said, "I told you so. All of this was a trick played by Lamvu." I let out a cold laugh, and just as I was about to speak, I heard that woman's voice ring out. Once more, it was Grandma who mistook him, so I asked Mr. Lamvu to help take care of her. For a while, everyone fell silent. No one expected the situation to turn out this way. After a moment, Lampham lowered his head. "So that's how it is. Lamvu, why didn't you make the truth clear to us? If you had said it earlier, this misunderstanding wouldn't have happened." "Mr. Lampham Tam," Huso leaned back against the sofa. Her posture casual, but her words carried full authority. "When encountering trouble, you hide behind others and shirk responsibility. Is this how the Lam family raises their children?" Hearing this, the old madam of the Tem family understood immediately. She shouted in anger, "Do you guys think my mind has a problem? And so I can't see through these petty tricks of yours, committing a fault without showing repentance. And you even dare to find ways to shift the blame to others. The two of you are truly shameless." The old madam of the Tem family looked straight at Tamhan. "Call off the engagement. I will not accept this grandson-in-law." Lamfam's entire body shook. The marriage that he had worked so hard for so long to obtain could not just vanish into thin air like this. Then he looked toward Tamhan, but only saw that her face was cold, her gaze still staring intently at me, clearly still not recovered from the shock of the fact that I was married. Lampham clenched his fists, lowered his head, and walked in front of Tamhan's sister Tamhan. "It's my fault. Rest assured, even if the engagement is called off. The person I promised to introduce to you, I will still do it." Tamhan snapped out of it. Lampham still wanted to help introduce her to Dr. Vu. Currently in Huaha's new energy projects, Dr. Vu is a top-tier figure. she hurriedly said to the old madam of the Tem family. Great-grandmother, Lam Pham also didn't know, so he shouldn't be blamed. Please forgive him. Moreover, the two families have already exchanged betrothal gifts, so it's really not convenient to call off the engagement. The old madam of the Tem family gave her a deep look. It's up to you. As for your matters, just let your parents decide. I don't want to meddle too much. But Tom Han's mother smiled and said, Grandma, didn't you forget to give a meeting gift? Hearing that, the old madam of the Tem family immediately lowered her eyelids. I will have someone transfer 180,000 to Tam Han. Tham Han's mother's face stiffened. But before that, didn't you say you would give the young couple a 2% share, because you were afraid the kids would be short on money? If one talks about who is the wealthiest person in the Tem family, it is definitely the old madam of the Tem family. She came from a wealthy clan in the capital. Her personal dowry was extremely abundant, and she held a 20% stake in the Tem family business. Tham Han's mother had long wanted to use this marriage to demand a large sum of money from her. Originally, everything had been agreed upon, but the old madam suddenly changed her mind. The old madam of the Tem family smiled. She looked at her with a half-smile. I am not satisfied with this grandson-in-law, so I won't give anything at all. Lam Pham's face turned pale. He felt deeply humiliated. The Tem family had many servants, so this matter would definitely be spread outside. By then, all of Haithan would know that he was detested by the old madam. Wealthy families value face above all else. The old madam today had truly trampled his dignity under her feet. But the old lady didn't care at all. After leaving those words, she pulled me along, walking with Tam Huso toward the courtyard where she lived. Afterward, she found an excuse to leave, telling Tam Huso to entertain her grandson-in-law well on her behalf, and then hurriedly led her people away. In the blink of an eye, only Tam Huso and I were left in the courtyard. In the night, Tam Huso and I stood side by side. While I was still hesitating on how to initiate the conversation, Tam Huso suddenly looked at me, her eyes clearly showing disdain. Such a spineless guy. I refused to be outdone, and also suddenly looked at her seriously, silly girl. Tam Huso's face turned pale. To coax Grandma to the point of telling him even this, his intentions were clearly not simple. Grandma clinging to him might have been an accident, with no trace of calculation in that matter, but this man kindly took Grandma in, perhaps because Grandma had accidentally revealed her own identity. I snapped back, not forgetting the main business. I remember you said in the message you would do me a favor. Then can you come with me to the Civil Affairs Bureau to check our marital status? Tham Huso's face darkened and she snapped impatiently. Fine, let's go. If that matter isn't true, I hope you won't use Grandma to cling to me anymore. The old lady's small head popped out from the window. You girl, are you bullying my grandson-in-law? Hearing that, Tam Huso's expression instantly stiffened. I'm not. Dinner was quite simple. 4 main dishes and 1 soup, just enough for 3 people. It was just that the old lady had no appetite. She took a few bites and then put down her chopsticks. Grandson-in-law, I'm tired. Let's go home. Don't make a fuss, just rest at home tonight. This small courtyard was like a miniature nursing home, fully equipped with all kinds of medical equipment. The old lady anxiously gripped my hand again. Then can you stay here with me? I furrowed my brows and glanced at Tam Huso. In truth, I wasn't at ease about the old lady either, but this woman detested me so much, suspecting that I was using her grandma to get close to her. She would definitely not agree. Tham Huso fell silent for a moment. Fine. Then she gave me a meaningful glance, clearly showing she only did this for her grandma, warning me not to have any improper intentions. After dinner, I brought the old lady back to her room to rest. Today, the old lady must have been truly exhausted, and having just suffered an illness, she fell into a deep sleep the moment she lay down. She slept very restlessly. Left with no choice, I could only sit by the bed to keep her company. Outside the window, Tham Huso had a serious expression. What is wrong with Grandma? The family doctor, who had studied psychology, let out a sigh. Although I don't know why the old madam is so certain about this young man, I can more or less guess why the old madam is so insecure, even fearing that her grandson-in-law will leave. Right after that, the family doctor glanced at Tam Huso again. The old madam probably feels that she won't be able to hold on past this year. She is afraid that after she passes away, you will have nothing left to bind you. The grandson-in-law is the only person she can leave behind, to stay by your side. Tham Huso froze slightly. In those deep black eyes, uncontrollable emotions were surging, taking a long time before returning to calmness. She stood under the moonlight, looking as if she were about to melt completely into it, and the endless darkness behind her. Not knowing how much time had passed, the woman suddenly turned and strode toward the main mansion. Lam Pham had a very difficult time eating this meal because he had just lost a 2% share. Tham Han's mother, Lu Mai Chan, was extremely dissatisfied. She spoke to him with a highly sarcastic and mocking tone. Isn't Lam Vu just an illegitimate child of your family? Why could he win the old lady's favor, while you couldn't? Lam Pham could only lower his head and apologize. "Aunt, I'm not as silver-tongued and good at coaxing people as Lam Vu." Lu Mai Chan sneered. "I don't care what method you use. You must get that 2% share back for me. Otherwise, don't even think about stepping foot inside the Tam family door." Lam Pham was suffering in silence. With difficulty, he finally finished the meal, and then he could speak up to take his leave. But before he could leave, Tham Hu So had returned. As soon as she stepped inside this door, she brought with her an immense pressure. She glanced at the leftover food on the central table, and then her expression became even uglier. Grandma couldn't eat anything tonight, yet they were here partying and having fun. Seeing her expression like that, Lu Mai Chan didn't dare to speak up. Only Tam Han's father, Tham Nguyen Keat, frowned and asked, "Hu So, why did you come here?" Tham Hu So didn't bother to pay attention to this uncle in name only, her gaze directed toward Lam Pham. Since the engagement hasn't been called off, then right now, he can also be considered a part of the Tem family, right? Since he is part of the Tem family, he must follow the Tem family's rules. Today he offended a senior. Punish him by kneeling in the ancestral hall for one night. Tham Hu So didn't offer any further explanation, directly signaling to the people behind her. Two bodyguards stepped in front of Lam Pham. "Young Master Lam, please." Lam Pham looked at Tam Han for help, but only saw that the other party didn't dare to resist at all, against the absolute authority of the person in power. He took a deep breath, and had no choice but to follow the bodyguards. Before walking out the door, he heard Tam Han ask her cousin, "What about that guy Lam Vu, did he leave?" Already next, it was Tam Hu So's warning response. "He is my guest. He will stay at the Tem family home tonight." Lam Pham followed the bodyguards to the ancestral hall. They said, "The young lady instructed us that you two are not married yet, so you are not allowed to step inside the Tem family ancestral hall. Just kneel outside." Outside was a blue brick floor. Lam Pham wanted to say something else, but the two bodyguards crossed their arms behind their backs, looking coldly at young Master Lam. The night was very cold. Lam Pham was shivering violently. The bone-chilling cold from his knees seeped into his very marrow. He wanted to slack off a bit, but those two bodyguards were like door gods staring down at him. They didn't say a word, yet it made one shudder without even being cold. The next morning when I woke up, I was already lying on the bed. My body was covered with a small pink blanket, which didn't really match the decoration style of the old lady's room. I didn't think much of it either. After waking up and finishing my personal hygiene, I had breakfast with Grandma and Tam Hu So. On the dining table was a plate of fried sugar cakes. The old lady immediately picked one up for Tam Hu So. Hu So saw that Grandma's blood sugar was high, making it unsuitable for her to eat such oily and sugary food. While she was thinking about how to stop her from eating it, she heard me casually say, "Grandma, this sugar cake isn't suitable for you." Immediately after that gluttonous and stubborn old lady put the piece of sugar cake into my bowl. The old lady smiled flatteringly. "Grandson-in-law, I'm giving it to you." Tham Hu So looked at me with a probing gaze, not understanding why Grandma listened to me so much. Without standing on ceremony, I started eating the sugar bun, then looked toward Tam Hu So. "By the way, when we go to the Civil Affairs Bureau later, you need to bring your ID card and household registration booklet." The old lady asked curiously, "What are you guys going to the Civil Affairs Bureau for?" "Our marriage certificate was lost." But unexpectedly, as soon as the words left my mouth, the old lady spoke up. "It wasn't lost." She hurriedly went into the bedroom, and very quickly came back out holding two red marriage booklets, handing them to me and Tam Hu So. I stared in daze at the marriage certificate in my hand, suddenly realizing that, from the very first meeting, the old lady had called me grandson-in-law. She always knew that we were married. Feeling like I had just grasped a clue, I immediately asked, "Grandma, why is this marriage certificate with you?" The old lady paused, her gaze becoming blank. "I don't remember clearly anymore." "Then how did Miss Tam and I get married?" The old lady continued to shake her head. "I don't remember." I was a bit anxious. "Grandma, try to think back." "That's enough." Tam Hu So gave a soft shout, directly stepping over to shield the space between the old lady and me, her cold gaze fixed on me. "Mr. Lam, this is indeed the real deal. Next, are you going to say there's no need to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau anymore? No, it turns out your goal was here all along. First, you used the trip to the Civil Affairs Bureau as a legitimate excuse to cling on using it as a stepping stone. Then you coaxed Grandma into bringing out these fake documents, to make her believe it's real." I could sense a hint of murderous intent in the woman's voice, vaguely drifting. I found it truly baffling. "It's fine if we don't go today. After all, getting a divorce is not something that's settled just by making a trip to the Civil Affairs Bureau. For the past 2 years, we have been a legal couple, which involves many property division issues. We need to sign a divorce agreement first." "No way." After Tam Hu So said that, she stared intently at me. Seeing that I was a bit dazed, she said helplessly, Whether it's because you are acting too well or because this marriage certificate is real. Tham Huso suddenly felt a bit unsure. She decisively grabbed the marriage certificate and walked toward the front door. I'll wait for you at the parking lot. I smiled to reassure the old lady. We had just arrived at the parking lot and saw Lu Lei supporting Lam Pham, whose face was deadly pale. Seeing me come out, she fiercely rushed over. You must help your brother Lam Vu. You are an abandoned child. Yet the Lam family didn't hold your background against you at all, raising you until you grew up. Even without crediting us with merit, we still put in the hard work. You should also repay the Lam family. I have been listening to this brainwashing talk for 25 years. Now I only find it completely ridiculous. Lu Li called me Lam Vu, and took the opportunity to say, now that you are grown up, you finally have a chance to repay the Lam family. Lam Vu, doesn't the old madam of the Tem family listen to you a lot? Go tell her to return that 2% share to your brother. Hearing that, I suddenly burst into laughter. I am just a lowly, abandoned child. How could the old madam of the Tem family listen to me? Lu Li was stunned. She wanted to say something more, but I had already strode past her, walking straight into Tham Huso's car. The car quickly arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Just as it came to a complete stop, Lu Kuang hurriedly caught up. Boss, the driver said you drove off by yourself, which gave me quite a scare. I had to quickly chase after you using the GPS tracking. What is going on here? Why is Tham Huso, who usually considers words as gold? Why did you come here, boss? Could it be that you were really troubled by Lam Vu's paranoid? Crazy talk, boss, rest assured. Don't worry, boss. I've already said it. There is no way he will ever see you again. Otherwise, I'll live stream myself eating feces, sitting in the back seat. I spoke up lazily. Which one is your live stream channel? Lu Kuang froze. Just like that, the three of us stepped into the main hall. Lu Kuang spoke up first to ask, hello, miss. I'd like to ask, if the principal party isn't present, can they obtain a marriage certificate? No, definitely not, the employee replied. Lu Kuang mockingly looked over at me. Hear that? You even prepared a fake document in advance. I'm calling the police right now to sue you for forging documents and causing a disturbance. Tham Huso handed the document over anyway. Please check this for me. Is this marriage certificate real? After looking it up, the employee gave the answer. This document is real. How can that be? Did you guys register the wrong information? Lu Kuang blurted out in horror. What nonsense are you talking about? Marriage is a serious matter. When coming to register, both parties must have their identities thoroughly checked and sign a commitment form. I hurriedly spoke up. Could you let us see the commitment form? Tham Huso also nodded. Please pull up the commitment form for us. The employee stood up helplessly. You two as husband and wife are truly in sync. All right, let me go find it for you. 2 registration files were brought in front of us. I glanced at the handwriting on them. It was indeed my own. Lu Kuang leaned close and softly called out, Boss, this is indeed your signature. Tham Huso remained silent. I looked at the employee. Hello? Could you let us review the video from that registration day? Sorry. We only keep video recordings for half a year. The employee firmly asserted. The process is absolutely free of errors. Both people must be present to process the documents. The 3 of us walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Lu Kuang was a bit dazed. Boss, what do we do now? Her gaze deepened while I furrowed my brows. Divorce. The 2 of us spoke in unison once again. Lu Kuang paused and asked again. So we get a divorce right now. Do we need to discuss the divorce terms? I will have my lawyer contact you. Discuss it with my lawyer. Tham Huso and I spoke in unison for the 3rd time. I burst into laughter and said decisively, how about this, the agreement that each side's lawyer drafts? Just take a look at it first. If there are any issues, let the lawyers discuss it later. Lu Kuang sneered. A guy of your class can actually afford a lawyer. Tham Huso nodded in agreement anyway. I didn't bother to argue with him. Lu Kuang took out his phone and said, Miss, let's add each other on WeChat to make future contact easier. Tham Huso opened her QR code with a meaningful look. I scanned the code, the chat box appeared along with the note name. What caught her eye was the text, Hello, silly girl. Her face instantly darkened. I also felt extremely embarrassed, having forgotten that the 2 of us had already added each other on WeChat before. Facing her unpleasant expression, I coughed dryly, saying that the name was just randomly set before. I casually changed the note name to Silly Girl, left a message saying, see you later, and caught a cab to leave. In the car, I called Queen Nuit. Find the best divorce lawyer for me. Absolutely do not let her take away even a single penny from me. Big brother, what on earth is going on with your marriage? Could it be that both of you lost your memory? I let out a sigh. There's one person who definitely knows the truth about this. Is it the old madam of the Tem family? I furrowed my brows. The experimental drug for the clinical trial to treat Alzheimer's must be accelerated. Otherwise, it'll be too late. When I got home, the old lady was actually carrying a suitcase standing and waiting at the door. Grandson-in-law, you're back. I brought a lot of clothes along. I froze slightly, then didn't know whether to laugh or cry. On that very day, the most famous law firm in Haithan received 2 anonymous mandates. The requests from both sides matched strangely. The other party must not take away even a single penny. The paralegal complained, "I've never seen a couple so heartless to each other." The lawyer, however, smiled cheerfully. "One contract yet collecting money from both sides. Send it to the clients." Later at the office, Tam So received the divorce agreement from me. Just as she opened it, Lu Kuang pushed the door open and walked in. "Boss, are the investigation results out yet? Lam Vu only found out that you two were married a few days ago when he went to register his marriage. A few years after he left the Lam family. A lot of information couldn't be traced, which is very strange." Tam So was deep in thought, feeling that this matter must be related. To him, though, the motive is still unclear. In addition, that researcher's whereabouts are erratic, and we still haven't been able to contact him. Tam So didn't say anything. She didn't know that the clinical drug for Alzheimer's treatment was precisely being researched by me. At dusk, Tam So asked to meet me downstairs. She handed the agreement over to me. "I have no objections, sign it." She thought I would refuse, but I signed my name without any hesitation. "Get divorced tomorrow." In such a rush, are you rushing to die or what? I thought to myself. The company is still waiting to go public. Meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning. As we were speaking, the old madam of the Tem family came downstairs. Her face was deadly pale, her voice trembling. "Are you two planning to get divorced?" Just as she finished her words, she closed her eyes and collapsed to the ground. Outside the hospital ward, the doctor solemnly instructed, "The old madam cannot take any more agitation. Absolutely do not let her get angry again." Tam So sat on the long bench, her hands shaking nonstop. When the old madam woke up, she looked at me, her voice hoarse. "Grandson-in-law, I dreamed that you and this girl were going to get divorced. That's not true, right?" I didn't say anything. Tam So, standing nearby, spoke up instead. "It's not true." "Then no more divorce. Can you give the household registration and marriage certificate?" To me. Tam So agreed to every request. The old lady looked over at me again. "Grandson-in-law, is what she said true?" Thinking about the doctor's instructions, I remained silent for a moment. "It's true." At night, I sat on the sofa, processing research documents in English. WeChat popped up a message from Silly Girl. "Wait until Grandma's health is stable before getting a divorce." I messaged back, "Fine, since the agreement has been signed anyway. Neither side has anything to do with each other." Tam So sent another message. "Do you have any other requests?" "Just wait for Grandma to get well and get divorced as soon as possible, that's all." The old lady looked at me and then looked at her, suddenly saying to that brat, "I want to arrange a job for my grandson-in-law at the Tem Group." Tam So froze slightly and reluctantly replied, "Yes." The old lady was extremely excited. "Tomorrow you just go to work with this brat." I agreed as well. The database of the Tem Group is very rich, which makes it very convenient for me to search for information. After that, Tam So left with Lu Kuang. In the hallway, Lu Kuang complained, "Boss, he definitely wants to infiltrate the company. Why did you agree? If I don't keep him under my eyes, how can he show his foxtail?" Tam So said coldly. In the hospital room, the old lady waved her hand and called me over. "Grandson-in-law, let me tell you a secret. If that brat bullies you, just bite back at her. Don't look at her arrogant and unapproachable appearance. In fact, she is very afraid of cats." My eyes showed a clear look of doubt. In my memory, there was a sister I knew since childhood, who also seemed very afraid of cats. "Grandson-in-law, do you like cats or dogs?" Suddenly realized that I used to like cats too, but because she didn't like them, I didn't like them anymore either. Very quickly after that, I understood why the old lady asked this question. The next day, on the rooftop of the Tem Group, an adorable Shiba Inu was wagging its tail, running around my legs. Lu Kuang was speechless. The job that the old madam arranged for Mr. Lam, why is it taking care of this little dog? Even Tam So couldn't understand it. It turned out my job was walking the dog. This was truly too ridiculous. She ordered, "Take them to the New Energy Research Department Team 1 to start work." This was what she had arranged beforehand. The New Energy Research Department is tied to the future of the group. Keeping me there is because she wants to see what slip-ups I will show. As for me, anything is fine. I carried the little dog following behind Lu Kuang. "Does it have a name yet?" "The old madam told you to give it a name." I glanced at Tam So, whose face was darkening. "Then let's call it Tu Mu." The New Energy Research Department is on the 38th floor. In the elevator, Lu Kuang said to young Master Lam, "The staff in the R&D department of our Tem Group are mostly PhD students, and at the very least graduated from prestigious schools. Among the researchers, you are the first bachelor's degree holder. Learn well from your seniors here. It will be very beneficial for your future. This was specially arranged for you by the boss. Of course you don't need to thank her. Consider this as the boss's reward. for your thoughtful care of the old madam. I curled my lips. Actually, it's not that necessary. By the way, the boss doesn't want it to make the relationship between you and her public, to avoid causing a stir when you divorce later. I glanced at him. How coincidental. I also have this concern. Thinking to myself, this man actually dares to look down on the boss, too. The first day of work was quite relaxing. No one assigned any tasks to me. I also felt at ease in the office, playing with the little dog. Once it fell fast asleep, I stood up, closed the door, and went straight to the reference archive on the 60th floor. Only by creating the specific medicine to treat Alzheimer's, so that the old lady recovers and remembers the past, can I understand what on earth this bizarre marriage is all about. The books here cover the cutting-edge knowledge of every industry, and there are research, documents that the outside world cannot even gain access to. Looking at the pile of documents, I secretly felt excited. On the top floor, Tom Huso received a message from the old madam of the Tem family. Grandma's WeChat name had been changed to Grandma cannot take any agitation. You brat, you must go have lunch with my grandson-in-law this afternoon. Remember to take a picture for me of the two of you being close. While eating, Pham Huso let out a helpless sigh, rang the bell, and called, Lu Kuang, prepare 2 portions of lunch and bring them up here. She sent a message to me, but I still hadn't replied for a long time. Arriving at the 60th floor, I searched through the rows of bookshelves, and before long I noticed Tom Huso staring at me. I was so engrossed in looking for books that when I stepped back I suddenly bumped into someone. Sorry. Turned my head around, only to see Tom Han looking at me with a complex expression. Lam Vu, you went through all the trouble to please great-grandmother. It wouldn't be just to get close to my young aunt, would it? My expression instantly turned cold. None of your business. She hasn't been close to any man for so many years. Don't think that relying on this face can seduce her. She isn't that shallow. Now is still not the time. She just casually gave you a job that is completely dispensable, just to dismiss you. I sneered. Are you implying that back then pursuing me for so long was because you were too shallow and easy? Her eyes rimmed with red. I know you hate me for proposing to Lam Pham, but I had no other choice. A wealthy marriage requires considering a lot of things. My mother would never agree to let me be with an ordinary person of your status. No matter what, I would never marry an illegitimate child. Otherwise, how could I face the Tem family in the future? I would even become a laughingstock for all of Haithan. I withdrew my gaze. Thank you for the grace of your non-marriage. Just as I was about to leave, Tom Han blocked the way again. I can arrange for you to join our team to work. When the time comes, I'll find someone capable to guide you. I know you are competitive. You are so smart you will definitely learn very quickly. Hearing that I interrupted her rambling, what is the condition? You get a divorce and follow me, Tom Han said. I don't allow any other woman to share you. With you. Just thinking about it already drives me crazy. I coldly replied, you are not worthy. Why do you love that trashy street-dwelling wife of yours so much? Do you believe that if I give her a sum of money, or find someone to threaten him a bit, it could easily make him abandon you? How can he even compare to me? Hearing that, I coldly glanced at Tom Han. Originally, I didn't want to crush your self-esteem, but since you insist on getting to the bottom of this, I'll tell you my wife is much more beautiful than you, and her figure is also better than yours. Leaving behind those words, I turned around to leave, and saw Tom Huso standing at the corner. I was silent, and she was silent too. At this moment, Tom Han's gaze from behind became gloomy. She took out her phone and called Lam Pham. Don't you have a dinner appointment with Dr. Vu tomorrow afternoon? Let me come along with you. As for Tom Huso, she used the excuse of inviting me for a meal and brought me to the top floor. Stepping into Tom Huso's office, she pointed toward the dining table next to us. You eat first. I still felt a little guilty in my heart. Looking at her appearance like this, she probably didn't hear that statement of mine, right? While I was deep in thought, I heard the sound of a phone camera taking a picture. Pham Huso casually took the photo and sent it to Grandma, and only then did she walk over. I knew her purpose for taking the photo, so I didn't ask further. I just looked at the dining table to find something to talk about. Miss Tam's lunch is truly abundant. The woman sat down opposite me, elegantly picking up her chopsticks. After all, one needs sufficient nutrition to maintain the best figure. I stiffened my face, turning completely red. My gaze swept across her fair skin. Embarrassed, I packed up a portion of the food. Miss Tam, I suddenly remembered, I haven't fed the cat yet. I'll take my leave first, thank you for your lunch. In a very cheerful mood, I carried the lunchbox and left. After off work, Tom Huso called Grandma. Where are you, Grandma? I'm at the hospital. This afternoon, I suddenly felt chest pain again, so I want to stay for observation for a few more days. You brat, are you coming to take care of me tonight? It's fine if you don't come. Just leave me alone in the hospital looking all pitiful like this. I'm coming right now. That's more like it. By the way, I already spoke with my grandson-in-law, and he will also come here to be with me. Remember to come along with him. Pham Huso rubbed her temples. fully understanding her grandmother's little scheme. She sent a message to me, offering to pick me up after work to go to the hospital. I replied very quickly. No need, I already caught a cab and am on my way, even though she wanted to keep her distance, seeing me avoid her like that. Tham Huso somehow felt the discomfort in her heart, increased by a few notches. I carried the little dog into the inpatient area. Not far away, Madame Lam had just finished her follow-up examination, and Lam Pham was supporting her arm. Is that Lam Vu? Why is he at the hospital? Is he sick? Madame Lam asked hesitantly. Lam Pham felt resentful in his heart. The old madam of the Tem family didn't allow anyone to visit, yet she only kept Lam Vu by her side. His eyes flickered. He must have come to visit the old madam of the Tem family. Lam Vu is truly so filial, isn't he? Nanny Vu sneered mockingly. What do you mean, filial? I've never seen him come to visit you, madam. Madame, you shouldn't speak up for him anymore. Young Master Lam Vu is truly ungrateful. I'm afraid he forgot about you a long time ago. Lam Pham chimed in. I heard that Miss Tam found him a job at the Tem group, which is why he is repaying the old madam of the Tem family. Nanny Vu said, Our madam has a compassionate heart, even raising him until he grew up. The grace of upbringing is greater than the heavens, yet we don't see him repaying madam at all. Let's stop talking about it. Madame Lam happened to walk over. Lam Pham sighed in admiration. Mother, you are truly too kind. But there are also people who repay a drop of kindness with a whole spring, like Dr. Vu. You only sponsored him with a little money, yet look how much he has helped our family over the years. 3 years ago, when the company almost went bankrupt, Dr. Vu directly provided a new technical patent, helping us turn danger into safety. Madame Lam nodded. Comparing them like that, Dr. Vu is too much better than Lam Vu. I also want to know what kind of person Dr. Vu actually is, Mother. Tomorrow, please take me along with you. Madame Lam smiled and patted his head. All right, I'll take you along. This scene happened to be seen by me while I was sitting in the VIP room, on the sofa inside the hospital ward. Seeing my gaze following Madame Lam, her face showed a pale, unhealthy complexion. Lam Pham was by her side whispering something to her, and Madame Lam nodded helplessly. The mother and son shared intimate gestures until the car drove away. Only then did I reluctantly withdraw my gaze. As soon as I turned my head, the old lady was standing right behind me. Grandson-in-law. Who is that person? She looks so familiar. My gaze softened, and just as I was about to speak, her eyes suddenly lit up. I remember now, that's your mother. You two really look alike. I froze slightly. In fact, apart from the shape of the face, Madame Lam and I did not share similar facial features at all. Only that cold aura was identical. After all, after leaving the Lam family, I always unconsciously emulated her style of working, carrying a few parts of her demeanor on myself. I looked at the old lady, Grandma. She is not my mother. The old lady insisted firmly, I am certain that is your mother, grandson-in-law. How can you not recognize your own mother? I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Fortunately, Tom Huso appeared at the door carrying dinner. The dinner Tom Huso prepared was very sumptuous, and she also brought along fruits for the three of us. The moment the old lady saw it, she immediately frowned. Grandson-in-law cannot eat mangoes. He is allergic to mangoes. My heart tightened. I looked at her in astonishment. Grandma, how do you know that? In the past, I was indeed allergic. But 2 years ago, I underwent desensitization treatment. I had never mentioned this matter to her before. The old lady smiled and said that he had told her in the past, saying that whenever he ate mangoes, his face would break out in red rashes. My expression turned serious. When exactly was in the past? The old lady became dazed again. It seems you told me before you got married. My heart was in turmoil. I was absolutely certain that before the marriage, I didn't know her at all, let alone have any private relationship. I hurriedly pressed, Do you remember anything else, Grandma? For example, how did Miss Tam and I register our marriage? The old lady shook her head, saying she couldn't remember. I noticed Tom Huso's probing gaze, her expression cold. I knew she must think I had bad intentions again. It was truly a situation where jumping into the Yellow River wouldn't wash me clean. I picked up the Shiba Inu dog. Grandma, you guys go ahead and eat first. I'll go walk the dog. That night, hiding at the end of the hallway, I silently looked back toward the hospital room. Not long after Tom Huso followed me out. Does young Master Lam have something to say? I thought you would want to hear me explain something. Then does young Master Lam have anything to explain? I replied seriously. As for what Grandma said about before the marriage, I really don't know what that's about. This kind of private matter is not something the old lady could have just made up. Thinking she would question me, she only gave a calm reply. Miss Tam, believe me. Tham Huso took a step closer. Her tone cold. Young Master Lam, I don't care what your goal is. If you can keep Grandma happy all the time, then I guarantee I can protect you fully. I understood now. She didn't care about the truth. As long as Grandma was happy, she could even turn a blind eye to all my calculated moves. She added with an overbearing aura, if you hurt Grandma, I will make sure you have no place left to stay in Haithan. I gave a cold laugh. Hasn't Miss Tam already done that? Tham Hu So frowned and was about to speak when Professor On's voice suddenly rang out, Lam Vu. Professor On walked over, his voice hoarse. I was just about to call you to ask if you have found a job yet. Misunderstanding. Has the matter between you and Miss Tam been resolved yet? That Miss Tam is truly way too much. How could she calculate things to the point of cutting off your livelihood like that? Canceling your graduate scholarship is one thing, but she even declared that she would make you disappear from Haithan. Tham Hu So stood nearby looking completely bewildered. I looked back at her with a half smile. Professor, please rest assured, it has been resolved. It was just a misunderstanding. Miss Tam is actually quite a good person. Not only did she arrange a job for me, but she also wants to protect me fully. Tham Hu So's face darkened significantly. Professor On let out a sigh of relief, then looked at Tham Hu So and instinctively asked, Is this that bum husband of yours? Tham Hu So's face turned completely dark, while the smile on my face grew even broader. Let's just say so. Professor On spoke to Tham Hu So in a profound voice. Young girl, you have such a good appearance. You must try to find a decent job to do. At this moment at the Lam family home, Lam Chan Nam was anxious, asking Madame Lam, who was currently in no mood, to eat. That's right. What's wrong with you? You don't look well. Lam Pham chimed in, Father, it's because we met Lam Vu at the hospital today, so Mother is probably just worried about him. What is there to worry about him for? Lam Pham sighed. He definitely hates me now. I'm worried he might say something in front of the old madam of the Tem family, making Miss Tam direct her anger at me. Lam Chan Nam sneered. He is the one who offended young lady Tam Han. What does that have to do with you? As they were speaking, Lam Chan Nam's phone rang. It was Lu Kwang Tam Hu So's special assistant. Special Assistant Lu, how do you have the time to call me like this? Did the young lady of the Tem family give any instructions? The voice on the other end of the line was extremely cold. The boss told me to ask young Master Lam Pham a question. When did he say that we wanted to make young Master Lam Vu disappear from Hai Thang? Wanting to make young Master Lin Wu vanish from Hai Cheng like that? Why is it that my boss herself knows absolutely nothing about this matter? Lam Chan Nam's face suddenly tensed up. He looked at Lam Pham with a look of utter disbelief. Lu Kwang left one final remark. The Lam family really needs to discipline your younger generation properly. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Standing nearby, Lam Pham kept his head low and remained silent. At that time, I saw Lam Vu clinging onto the young lady of the Tem family. I was afraid he would defect the marriage between me and sister. Tham Han, Father, I didn't do it on purpose. Lam Pham argued, his face deadly pale. After all, Lam Vu is also your son, Father. I was afraid you wouldn't have the heart to scold him for his foolishness. Lam Chan Nam shifted the subject. How many times have I said it? In my heart, there is only one son, and that is you. What kind of piece is Lam Vu anyway? How dare he compare to you? Madame Lam disagreed, Chan Nam. No matter what, Lam Vu is still your son. Lam Chan Nam instantly turned his head around. Vinya, back then you were framed by Lu Lei, and I treated you badly. But that woman's son, I will absolutely never acknowledge him. In my heart, there is only you and our son. Lu Lei, standing to the side in her capacity as a nanny, heard these words and immediately clenched her fists in resentment. She looked at Lam Chan Nam with a gaze full of bitterness. This was the man she loved deeply, her childhood friend from next door. Yet in this man's eyes and heart there was only Li Thinya. Back then, after getting pregnant, she brought the test results to find him, saying she could be his mistress. But he ruthlessly drove her away without any mercy, saying he would not do anything to wrong his wife. Lu Li truly had no other choice but to go to Li Thinya crying and making a scene about life and death, just to be allowed to stay at the Lam family home. For so many years, Lam Chan Nam had never spoken much to her, and treated Lam Vu even more like thin air. Fortunately, she had swapped the two children. Lu Li lowered her head, suppressing the smile in the depths of her eyes. Lam Chan Nam would never know that the son he repeatedly claimed was his, and Li Thinya's, whom he pampered like a fragile egg, that Lam Pham, whom he loved all those years, was actually her own son. As for Lam Vu, he deserved to be ignored and suppressed. Madame Lam still stubbornly shook her head. Chan Nam, Lam Pham was wrong, and wrong is wrong. Our whole family should go and apologize to Lam Vu. Lam Chan Nam snorted coldly. Apologize for what? My son has to go apologize to Lu Lei's son. Lu Li also hurriedly said, No need, there's really no need. The Lam family, raising him until he grew up, is already such a great favor. Disciplining him is only natural. Madame Lam looked at them and let out a soft sigh, but she did not argue any further. When Lam Pham escorted her back to her room, Madame Lam spoke up again. Tomorrow, if there is time, I will take you to see Lam Vu to apologize. Lam Pham's face suddenly stiffened. Didn't you want to take Tam Han to meet Dr. Vu? Let's all go together tomorrow. Lam Pham's eyes instantly lit up. He hugged her arm. Yes, Mother. You are still the one who treats me the best. After he left, Madame Lam looked toward Nanny Vu. Over the past years, my health hasn't been good, so I didn't raise him well, letting Lam Pham turn out like this. It's truly a failure of responsibility. Madam, you're overthinking it, young master. Lam Pham is very filial and thoughtful. Those small flaws can just be corrected later. Madame Lam let out a bitter smile. Lam Vu had never lied. She began to cough violently. Under Nanny Vu's support, she walked toward the bed. That secret still weighed so heavily on her that she couldn't breathe. The next day, from the moment I woke up this morning, I felt a bit nervous. It has been 10 years since I last met Madame Lam. I don't know whether she will be happy or angry when she sees me. At noon, I went home to change my clothes. The old lady asked Tom Husso to take her home. The two of them stepped out of the hospital room door. As soon as they went downstairs, they saw Lu Kuang walking over. Tom Husso nodded to him. Lu Kuang handed a piece of paper to me. Young Master Lam, you can take a look at this. On it was listed a directory of professors, majoring in new energy from famous domestic universities. I looked at Lu Kuang with doubt. These are all professors who are even more famous than Professor 1. You can choose to continue your graduate studies. This is the boss's compensation for canceling your direct admission to graduate school. Young Master Lam, meeting our boss can be considered a blessing in disguise for you. The corner of my mouth twitched. No need. So you want to be a graduate student under Dr. Vu? Lu Kuang furrowed his brows. This is a bit difficult. Dr. Vu is currently very famous. That genius professor only recruits genius students. I'm afraid you won't catch his eye. How about you don't be too picky? At most, after graduating from your master's program, you can look for Dr. Vu to pursue a PhD. I looked at him as if looking at an idiot. Giving him a glance, I spoke directly to Tom Husso, Miss Tam. No need to see me off. I can just catch a cab back myself. Tam. Husso stared in the direction I left, suddenly saying to Lu Kuang, in that case, help him contact Dr. Vu. What? Lu Kuang was stunned. In front of the private restaurant, Madame Lam brought Lam Pham and Tam Han along, arriving early. Tam Han pushed open the door to the private room. What caught her eye was the tall back of a man who was pouring tea. Hello, doctor. I am Tam Han from the Tem Group. Very glad to meet you. I turned my head around, a teasing look appearing on my face. Lam Vu, why are you here? I should be the one asking you that question. My tone was very relaxed. Tham Han's face darkened significantly. Rest assured, I didn't come here to look for you this time. Where is Dr. Vu? Where is he? I didn't say anything. Madame Lam walked in leading Lam Pham. Seeing me, Madame Lam's eyes rimmed with red. Are you Lam Vu? My heart stirred slightly. Madam, have you been well lately? Very well, Lam Vu. How about you? I heard from your father that you got married. Madame Lam tightly held my hand and wouldn't let go, sighing with endless emotion. Lam Pham's eyes flickered with a flash of malice. Lam Vu, I should have invited you to have a meal with us, but since you are working part-time, it's probably inconvenient, right? Later, we will give you a little more pocket money. Consider it as extra support for your life. You say less. Madame Lam spoke up to scold him, then hurriedly looked over at me. Lam Vu, today we have an appointment with Dr. Vu. You also work in the new energy field, right? Get to know each other a bit. It will be beneficial for your future. Lam Pham was afraid I would steal his resources. He held a hot teacup and walked up next to me. Lam Vu, yesterday Mother told me I must apologize to you. Let me toast you a cup of tea instead of wine. After saying that, he loosened his fingers, and the tea was about to spill all over me. I leaned to the side and slipped past. The teacup bounced back onto Lam Pham, causing him to be burned and shout, Lam Vu, I know you hate me, but how could you do this? He yelled as if aggrieved. I blinked, pretending to be innocent. So sorry. I didn't see. Tam Han angrily bellowed, Lam Vu, you work as a waiter like that, causing injuries to the guests. Hurry up and call your manager out here. I will file a complaint against you. All right. Madame Lam was shielding me. We are all family. Mother, sister. Tam Han is already angry. How about we let Lam Vu go outside first, to avoid further conflicts? Madame Lam looked at me with full compromise. Lam Vu, when you are free, come home more often to play. Next time there's an opportunity, I will take you to pay a visit to Dr. Vu. Lam Pham hurriedly shifted the subject. Mother, why hasn't Dr. Vu arrived yet? Haven't I already arrived? The three people in the room simultaneously looked toward me. Madame Lam was just about to press further when she suddenly coughed violently and fainted right onto the dining table. Madam, I instinctively went to support her, but was forcefully pushed away by Lam Pham. Get lost. What did you do to my mother? Mother, wake up. The ambulance will be here right away. I wanted to get into the vehicle but was grabbed tightly by Tam Han. You wild child, get far away from Madame Lam. If you anger her to the point that something happens to her, I will not let you off easily. I caught a taxi and followed closely to the hospital. The hallway was packed with people. There were no empty beds left. Tham Husso saw this scene from upstairs and instructed Lu Kuang to help arrange a hospital room for the young master of the Lam family. The reception received the call and immediately reported back. There is a VIP room that happens to be vacant. Lam Pham was overjoyed. Sister Tam Han, you really have. Away. Tam Han naturally took the credit for this. The group of people walked into the hospital room. I also intended to follow, but was blocked at the door by Lam Pham. Lam Vu, my mother needs peace and quiet to rest. Don't you disturb her. With a bang, the room door slammed shut. I stood dazed right on the spot, burning with anxiety, yet having no right to step inside. I could only sit down on the long bench. Not long after, a flurry of hurried footsteps approached. Chan Nam rushed into the hospital room with an anxious look. After confirming that Madame Lam was not in grave danger, he pulled Lam Pham out the door. Chan Nam frowned and asked, "What's going on with this? Why did she suddenly faint out of nowhere?" Lam Pham looked toward me sitting nearby. "It's because of Lam Vu. He just insisted on getting to know Dr. Vu, and then got into an argument with Sister Tam Han, angering Mother to this extent." Chan Nam instantly looked at me in a rage. "You rebellious son!" Without saying another word, he swung his arm to slap me right across the face. I didn't dodge. My mind was entirely filled with Madame Lam's pale face. Perhaps just as Lam Pham said, my appearance was already a misfortune for her in the first place. The expected pain didn't hit me. I opened my eyes, only to see a cold figure, shielding me from the front. Tham Hu So was standing there, as if she was holding up the entire sky for me. Chan Nam panicked. "Miss Tam, why are you doing this?" "Mr. Lam, originally I shouldn't have interfered, but right now Grandma likes him very much. If she sees an injury on young Master Lam's face, she will be very sad." Tham Hu So's voice was low and pleasant. Chan Nam immediately said it was my lack of thoughtful consideration. From inside the hospital room came the sound of Madame Lam coughing. Chan Nam and Lam Pham immediately went inside. I stood at the door hesitating for a long time, hearing her weak voice drifting out. "Mother is fine, don't worry. It's been a long time since I had a good sleep. Fainting just now actually felt quite comfortable. Only at this moment did my heart ease up a little." Tham Hu So asked, "Not going in? Not for the time being? Otherwise it will be another verbal war, disturbing Madame Lam's rest," I said softly. Just as I turned around, the old lady walked over, supported by the housekeeper. I heard that my grandson-in-law's mother was hospitalized, so I came to visit and check on her. I supported her arm. "Grandma, Madame Lam is not my mother. Could it be that I got it wrong?" The old lady took out her phone, found a group photo, and handed it to her grandson-in-law. "This is the photo you sent me before, saying it was you and your mother. Could it be that the person in the hospital room is not the person in the photo?" I suddenly froze. In the photo, Madame Lam and I were sitting by the seaside, smiling brightly, looking exactly like a mother and son. But ever since I left the Lam family, I had never met her again. How could there be a photo taken together? I zoomed in on the photo and found a clue. This was a clumsily edited photo. "When did I send this to you, Grandma?" The old lady shook her head, saying she couldn't remember clearly. "Then how did I send it to you? Via email or message?" She continued to shake her head, completely unable to recall. I felt a bit helpless, but the old lady's attitude was very firm. "Grandson-in-law, she is indeed your mother. You mustn't abandon your own mother." After seeing the old lady off, Tham Hu So stood in the hallway. Lu Kuang quickly walked over to report. "Boss, it has been investigated and cleared up. The young master of the Lam family went to work as a part-timer at that private restaurant, and then happened to run into the Lam family." Tham Hu So's voice was cold. "Is the salary paid by the Tem Group to him that low? Otherwise, why would he run outside to do part-time work?" "It's not low, it's just that the old madam arranged that for him. Perhaps it's because the manager assigned him a task that is too difficult, so he's worried he might get fired." But Tham Hu So felt that things were not that simple. What was the Lam family doing at that private restaurant? They had an appointment to meet Dr. Vu. "Miss, Tham Han also went there because of that matter. And what about Dr. Vu?" In the end, he still didn't show up. A glint flashed deep within Tham Hu So's eyes as a ridiculous thought momentarily crossed her mind. In the hospital room, after resting, Madame Lam's spirit was much better. Lam Pham told Tam Han to head back first. Lam Pham's face was full of awkwardness. Tam Han staying here was purely to wait for Dr. Vu. Madame Lam suddenly realized, "Hand me the phone. Since we missed the appointment today, we should also give a clear explanation to Dr. Vu." Only after Madame Lam finished scheduling another time did Lam Pham see Tam Han out the door. In the hallway, Lam Pham said, "Sister Tam Han, please rest assured, on Dr. Vu's side, there will definitely be no problem at all. Right now, I'm at the Tem Group. In the group's research lab, there are a few stubborn guys who refuse to yield. As long as we can invite Dr. Vu to join, only then will I be considered to have achieved a great merit and gained a firm foothold. Therefore, Dr. Vu is very important to me. You must convince him." The two stepped into the elevator. I walked out from this corner, pushed open the door, and entered the hospital room. Chan Nam's face instantly darkened. What are you still coming here for? Is that Lam Vu outside? Quick, let him in. Madam Lam's gentle voice rang out. Lam Chan Nam warned me. Don't make Madam angry again. I already told you. It wasn't because of Lam Vu today. It's just that I haven't been sleeping well these past few days, Madam Lam scolded gently. She took my hand. This child, you were frightened today, weren't you? The palm of her hand was very warm. I smiled and said, no, I wasn't. In the future, you must come home often to visit me. And your wife, too. Your mother said she is a nobody, but I don't believe it. Lam Vu has had good judgment since he was a child, and he is also very independent. The person you have chosen must definitely have her merits. Bring her here some day for me to meet her, all right? The bridge of my nose tingled. Yes, ma'am. She began to cough violently again. I took out a plastic bottle. This is cough medicine I asked someone to buy for me. Whenever you can't sleep at night, take one pill. Madam Lam nodded and took it. I left the hospital room and heard Lam Chan Nam inside murmuring disdainfully, how could you be won over by a medicine bottle prescribed from some unknown small clinic? He casually threw the medicine bottle into the trash can. Late at night, Madam Lam was woken up by her coughing fit again, so painful that she even thought of ending her life. As if possessed, she picked up the medicine bottle from the trash can and took one pill. A wave of coolness instantly covered her itching throat. She dazed off and fell into a deep sleep. At 10 a.m. the next day, Madam Lam was woken up by Lam Chan Nam. She didn't expect that she would sleep straight through until morning. Madam, the sleeping pills the doctor gave yesterday surely worked. You have slept for a full 10 hours. Nanny Lan was so excited that the rims of her eyes turned red. What sleeping pills? Madam Lam was stunned. Nanny Lan looked toward Fam. Miss Tam Han found them for you, madam. She specially looked for a strong dose of sleeping pills to put into your medicine. Unexpectedly, it really worked. Madam Lam paused for a moment. She felt that her throat was much clearer, and her gaze stopped at the unlabeled plastic bottle by her pillow. His gaze shifted to the unlabeled plastic bottle by the pillow. Lam Chan Nam was very satisfied with his future daughter-in-law. Everyone praised this daughter-in-law for being so good. I heard that the inpatient area has been fully occupied recently. It was Tom Han who pulled a lot of strings to arrange this hospital room. We really have to thank her this time. Lam Pham struck while the iron was hot. Mother, Sister Tam Han is so filial to you. You should also lend her a hand. Her family wants to let Sister Tam Han manage the research department, but those researchers refuse to yield. If we can, invite Dr. Vu to be an external technical advisor to support Sister Tam Han. Then she can gain a firm foothold in the company. Madam Lam hesitated for a moment. All right, let me ask Dr. Vu and see. But if he doesn't agree, then let's drop it. Lam Pham looked extremely smug. In his eyes, as long as Madam Lam spoke up, Dr. Vu had never refused. Madam Lam took out her phone, found Dr. Vu's profile picture, weighed her words for a moment, and sent a message. Zhao Vu, are you free? I want to ask you for a favor. When the message was received, I had just brought the old lady back from a walk downstairs. I furrowed my brows. What did Madam Lam want with me? Could it be that there was a problem with yesterday's medicine? That medicine was still in the clinical trial phase. Seeing that her illness was severe, I had brought it out earlier than planned. Feeling anxious, I asked the caregiver to take the old lady back to her room, then hurriedly ran over toward Madam Lam's side. Before long, I arrived at the hospital room and saw that Tom Han and Lu Lei were both there. The sound of cheerful talking and laughing instantly fell silent the moment I stepped inside. Feeling like I was intrusive and seeing that Madam Lam was fine, I quickly lowered my head, intending to leave. Lu Li spoke up. Isn't this young Master Lam? What's wrong? Now that you've climbed up to a high branch like the old madam of the Tem family, people of our kind are no longer good enough for your eyes. I turned around wanting to leave, but was grabbed tightly by her. I heard that you are currently devoting all your thoughts to flattering the old madam of the Tem family, serving her night and day, carrying bedpans and throwing out trash? Do you think they will really treat you like a real grandson? Are you daydreaming in broad daylight? You are nothing more than a plaything to them. Lam Pham hurriedly said, Mother, don't say that. The old madam of the Tem family highly regards Lam Vu. Lu Lei raised her voice, highly regards my foot. Miss Tam Han's treatment toward our Lam Pham is what you call highly regarding. She looked at Tom Han with a flattering expression. I heard that yesterday there were originally no vacant hospital rooms left. Even wealthy families had to line up. It was all thanks to Miss Tam Han's help that Madam could stay in this VIP room. Tam Han looked at me, smiling modestly. It was nothing. I don't know about this matter. Otherwise, I'm sure she would have helped too. I only contributed a tiny bit of effort. Even if Miss Tam knew, she wouldn't even care about you. Lu Lei mocked me again. No matter how much you flatter them, people will only treat you like a cat or a dog. Understood. I clenched my fists tightly, not wanting to argue inside the hospital room. Tham Huso had just arrived outside the door and heard all of these words. Her expression was cold. Lu Kuang instantly understood his boss's intention, so he cleared his throat and stepped into Madame Lam's room. I am visiting on behalf of President Tem, asking if you are comfortable staying in this hospital room. The room fell dead silent. Everyone looked toward Tom Han. She had a stunned look on her face. Lu Lei was dazed and immediately smiled, saying, Miss Tom Han, so it turns out you asked Miss Tam to arrange this hospital room. Tham Han's face stiffened. Lu Kuang smiled again and said, this was arranged because Mr. Lam asked our boss. Miss Tam Han, did you also look for my boss? Tham Han was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to crawl into. At that time, I made a lot of phone calls, looking for quite a few people. It was my misunderstanding. Lam Pham now only felt so ashamed that he wanted to sink into the ground. Madame Lam broke the bizarre atmosphere. Many thanks to Miss Tham. The conditions here are very good. When my health gets a bit better, I will go visit the old madam. Lu Kuang said, as long as you find it comfortable staying here, Mr. Lam doesn't need to worry. Our old madam will be pleased. These words were clearly elevating me. The people in the room all had heavy hearts, while Madame Lam was genuinely happy. I looked toward Lu Lei, my eyes full of mockery making Lu Lei turn her anger into shame. You brat, what are you so smug about? Shut up, Lam Chan Nam barked angrily. Madam is sick and needs quiet. What are you barking around here for? Get back home for me. Lu Lei glared at me resentfully, then covered her face and ran away. I looked toward the hospital bed. Madam, how did you sleep last night? Madame Lam instinctively clutched the small medicine bottle under the blanket. I slept very well. It has been a very long time since I had such a good sleep. Then that's wonderful. I will take my leave now. Lu Kuang and I walked out the door. Tham Hu So was leaning against the hallway wall, checking her phone. The light reflected her elegant profile. Seeing me come out, she spoke up. Grandma was worried, so she insisted that I come to check in person. Though her tone was somewhat distant, my heart tightened. Right at that moment, the hospital room door opened, and Tom Han and Lam Pham stepped out. Seeing me and Tham Hu So standing side by side, Lam Pham looked as if he had encountered a formidable enemy. Tham Han instinctively questioned, why are you here? Tham Hu So's gaze was cold. My whereabouts don't seem to require reporting to you. The intense pressure made Tom Han's palms sweat. She looked at me with jealousy. Young Master Lam, you keep staying at the hospital taking care of the old lady like this. Doesn't your wife mind? I was slightly amused. I glanced at Tham Hu So, then gave a half smile. She probably doesn't mind. Tham Han's facial expression shifted drastically. Tham Hu So suddenly spoke up. Go to the hospital room. Grandma's waiting for you. I smiled and replied, all right, let's go in. We turned around and left, leaving Tom Han behind with a sinister look in her eyes. When she went back into Madame Lam's hospital room to tidy up the blankets and sheets, she cried out in shock, why is there a medicine bottle on the bed like this? Lam Chan Nam frowned. Isn't this that undocumented medicine that Lam Vu gave you? That's right, why did you pick it back up? Last night I took one pill, and I felt like it worked, Madame Lam explained. How could that be? It was clearly the sleeping pills taking effect. Lam Chan Nam snatched the medicine bottle. The medicine he gave, who knows where it was bought. What if taking it ruins your body? Let's see what happens tonight if you don't take it, to see which medicine actually works. Late at night, Madame Lam had another violent and non-stop coughing fit. Nanny Nam brought over the sleeping pills that had been praised as a miracle drug, but found they had no effect at all. Madame Lam coughed so much that her face turned bright red. After that, Nanny Nam rushed outside to retrieve Lam Vu's medicine bottle. Just as she was about to give her the medicine, Lam Pham held her hand back. Mother, the coughing got worse. Could it be caused by this medicine? This medicine of unknown origin is best left untaken. Lam Chan Nam also said angrily, that Lam Vu is really something. You treat him so well, yet he dares to bring medicine to harm you. Madame Lam coughed so hard she couldn't speak, staring intently at Nanny Nam. Nanny Nam, who was originally very loyal, endured the pressure and popped the pill into Madame's mouth. The coughing fit stopped instantly. Madame Lam breathed a sigh of relief, confirming that Lam Vu's medicine had worked. The group walked out to the outer room. Lam Pham's face was deadly pale. Father, Lam Vu really managed to buy specialized medicine. What kind of capability could he have? He must have asked Miss Tam to buy it for him. Lam Chan Nam frowned. It seems the old madam of the Tem family really holds him in high regard. In the VIP hospital room, Tham Hu So was sitting and chatting with Grandma. What did you eat for lunch today, Grandma? The old lady pondered for a long time. White porridge. It seems it wasn't noodles, right, you rascal? Tham Hu So smiled and nodded, but her heart was heavy. At noon they clearly ate rice, yet Grandma forgot again. Her memory seemed to be increasingly and severely deteriorating. Lam Vu suddenly spoke up lazily. Grandma, what color were Miss Tam's earrings yesterday? The old lady immediately replied, purple. This girl is the most fastidious. She even wore diamond cufflinks. What about the day before yesterday? The day before yesterday was ocean blue. Those blue earrings were actually bought for her by me. Vu smiled and looked at Tam Huso with deep meaning. The things she cares about she remembers very clearly. Tam Huso looked toward Lam Vu. He was curling up on the chair, lazily playing with his phone. With his relaxed demeanor, his words just now were comforting her. Her anxious heart seemed to be gradually soothed. The old lady suddenly smiled. "Grandson-in-law, everything I just said was correct, right?" I nodded and said yes. "You rascals see that? Your grandson-in-law even remembers so clearly what you wear every day like that. He has you in his heart." I was stunned. I just happened to have a photographic memory. I really didn't intentionally memorize it. I was just about to explain when I saw Tam Huso only staring intently at her computer, not bothering with me. What I didn't notice was that the rims of her ears had turned slightly red. I continued researching the documents on my phone. The work of perfecting the Alzheimer's disease medication still had no clues. I stood up to take a walk for a bit. Just as I went downstairs to walk the dog, someone patted me on the shoulder. Turning my head to look, it turned out to be Lu Lei along with her gambling-addicted younger brother. My uncle Lu Diu Quang. "Good nephew, long time no see." I took a step back. "What did you come here for? Didn't I hear that my nephew has clung onto the Tem family? Lately, your uncle is really tight on cash. Can you lend me some money?" I sneered and said, "I don't have money." "You serve that old lady so thoughtfully. Doesn't she give you any money?" I narrowed my eyes. "As of right now, she hasn't. In the future, she probably will give you some. Don't you stand there smiling like a slick prick. When that time comes, you definitely must lend some to your uncle. If you give me a lot, your uncle can tell you a secret." He chuckled and walked away. I let out a sneer, and right then my phone rang. Picking it up to look, it turned out to be a call from Madame Lam. At this moment, in another hospital room, Lam Pham saw that Dr. Vu hadn't replied to the text message for a long time, and Tom Han was urging him again. So taking advantage of the fact that Madame Lam was fast asleep, he stole her phone. He found the name Xiao Vu in the contact list, and dialed directly. The call went through. I spoke in a cold voice. "Hello, Madame Lam, is something the matter?" Lam Pham suddenly froze. "Lam Vu!" He widened his eyes in absolute shock. This voice, he could absolutely never mistake it. My heart sank, and my voice grew even colder. "Lam Pham, what are you doing with Madame Lam's phone? Is this your phone number?" He was a bit flustered. "What nonsense are you talking?" Only at this moment did Lam Pham suddenly come to his senses and realize. The name of Lam Vu also contained the word Vu. Madame Lam occasionally still called him Xiao Vu. He let out a sigh of relief. Lam Pham cast off his mask now that there were only the two of them. He said resentfully, "I just want to let you know, even if you rely on the old madam of the Tem family to cling on to Miss Tam, at most you are still just a plaything. Miss Tam is already married, but I am different. In the future I will marry Sister Tam Han, becoming the legitimate son-in-law of the Tem family." Congratulations. In wealthy families, it's not like you can just talk about feelings and get by. In my hands I am holding a trump card, which is Dr. Vu. Therefore I will forever be in an unbeatable position. The phone hung up. The corner of my mouth twitched. Since when did I become the top general under Lam Pham? Immediately after, Dr. Vu's WeChat tone, under the name of Madame Lam, rang out. It was Lam Pham again. I turned on my voice changer and answered the call. Lam Pham's tone was extremely respectful. "Hello, Dr. Vu. Forgive me for bothering you. I am Lam Pham, the son of Madame Li Thigna. The Tem Group wants to invite you to join their research team. My mother also shares this intention. I wonder if you're interested." I coldly interrupted him. "I am only responsible for companies under Madame Lam's name." After saying that, I hung up. Time passed until Monday. I returned to the Tem Group to work. Just out of the hospital and about to catch a taxi, the Bentley pulled up right beside me. Tham Huso looked straight ahead and said, "Get in. Grandma told me to drive you to work." Tham Huso glanced at me. "Want to take a photo?" I got into the back seat. She held up her phone and took a photo of the two of us. I held up a V sign and smiled brightly. Tham Huso suddenly dazed off a bit. Arriving at the company, I went straight to the archive room on the 60th floor. At this time, the R&D department was announcing a personnel reassignment. Tham Han was promoted to vice president. The reason was that she had successfully invited Dr. Vu. In the top floor office, the secretary was reporting my movements. His purpose in joining the Tem Group is precisely to look up documents. He has been in the library for the entire morning and hasn't eaten lunch yet. Tham Huso's eyes flickered, and she went downstairs alone to find me. In front of the neurology section bookshelf, I was climbing a ladder to get documents from the top shelf. After successfully grabbing the book, I was overjoyed. But my foot slipped and I fell down, pinning Tham Huso right beneath me. It was her. I hurriedly stood up to apologize. "Sorry, I didn't mean to just now." Tham Huso composed herself for a moment before standing up. The rims of her ears were bright red, but she pretended not to care. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. I casually made an excuse and slipped away. Before leaving, I hid that important book in a corner where no one would notice. In the afternoon, I returned to the library, only to find that the book had disappeared. My head was full of question marks. Immediately after I reacted to it, in the entire company, there was only one person who could casually take that book away. On the top floor, Tham Huso was flipping through that deep neurology book, her eyebrows furrowed tightly. Lu Kuang was rambling by her side. I think that guy Lam Vu is really ungrateful. He didn't come here to work at all. That's right, he originally didn't come here to work, Tham Huso casually replied. Lu Kuang asked, do we need to return this book? Tham Huso's fingertips lightly tapped on the book. Thinking of my peach blossom eyes, full of anticipation today, her heart suddenly felt an indescribable stir. No need for the time being. It was now off work hours, and the Bentley was parked in the underground parking lot. Lu Kuang asked, boss, let's go. No rush? Tham Huso held the thick document in her hand. Not until I got into the car did she raise her eyes and say, let's go. Lu Kuang was slightly stunned. The boss didn't seem to have made an appointment to go together with young Master Lam. We returned to the hospital. As soon as we reached the VIP hospital room, we heard Lu Lei's flattering voice. Old madam, I specially came to visit you. Come to think of it, we really share a deep connection. The old madam of the Tem family blocked the door and stared at her. Get lost. If you don't leave, I will have someone beat you. Lula gave an awkward smile. I am Lam Vu's mother. Old madam, don't you like him the most? For his sake, you shouldn't treat me like this, right? You are not his mother. The old madam of the Tem family stated with absolute certainty, Madam Lam is his mother. Lu Lei instantly broke out in a cold sweat. Terrified, she instinctively asked back, how do you know? The matter of swapping the babies. Only she and her younger brother Lu Diu Kuang knew. On what basis was the old madam of the Tem family so sure? Seeing me and Tam Hu so walking over, Lu Lei guiltily restrained herself. She walked over to me and handed me a thermos. Lam Vu, mother brought you some chicken soup. You've worked hard taking care of the old madam. Eat a bit more to stay healthy. I only found it ridiculous and asked coldly, what do you want? Or is it still about that measly 2% share? The old madam of the Tem family highly regards you like that? If you speak up, she will definitely agree to help your brother. Otherwise, in front of Tom Han, he basically can't even hold his head up. My gaze turned cold as I said I won't help. Lu Lei's face stiffened, and she sat right down on the floor crying, fine, fine. I raised you with so much hardship and effort. And now that you've climbed high, you turn your back on me heartlessly. Everyone come and look at this. This son of mine is truly an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. He says his own mother comes from a lowly background and wants to go be someone else's grandson. People around began to point and gossip. I looked at her calmly, the feeling of helplessness in my heart growing heavier. If you keep making noise and disturbing other people's rest, security will escort you out. After saying that, I walked right past her. Lu Li flew into a rage. You ungrateful wretch! She suddenly jumped up and fiercely threw the bowl of chicken soup toward me. Be careful. A pair of cold hands pulled me into an embrace. Tam Huso shielded my back, taking all of that hot soup for me. My pupils contracted and I hurriedly asked, how are you? I'm fine. Her eyebrows knitted slightly as she watched Lu Lei run away in fear. Stepping into the hospital room, the old lady anxiously pulled at her clothes. Take it off quickly, let me see how badly you are burned. Are there any blisters? Does it hurt, dear? Grandson-in-law, come over here quickly and apply the medicine for her. The old lady shoved the medicine bottle into my hand and ushered everyone else out. Grandson-in-law, I'm leaving this to you. Only the two of us were left in the hospital room. Tham Huso said softly, Grandma's just making a fuss. Let me call a nurse in. Let me do it. I walked up behind her. The twilight glow fell upon her back. My fingertips dabbed with a bit of ointment, gently applied it onto her. Throughout the entire process, neither of us spoke a word. Until the medicine was fully applied, she adjusted her hair. Young Master Lam, thank you. It's nothing. In fact, you didn't need to take that hit for me. If you get injured, Grandma will be very sad. Tham Huso stared intently at me. Have you forgotten right now you are my husband? My heartbeat suddenly skipped a beat. I always felt that the current Tham Huso seemed a little bit different. Well, I'm going out for a moment. To do what? To seek revenge. I originally intended to go find Lu Lei, but instead bumped into Lam Pham and his uncle Lu Diu Kuang in the hallway. Lu Diu Kuang rubbed his hands together. Nephew, your uncle is really tight on cash lately. Lam Pham suppressed his anger. I already gave you this month's allowance. Either way, I can't survive anymore. You don't give me the money, I will speak the truth. He will definitely give a huge sum of money. I pushed the door open and stepped in, my voice cold. What truth? Lam Pham was startled. Lam Vu, what do you think you're doing? Why are you eavesdropping on our conversation? I looked straight at Lu Diu Kuang and said, keep talking. What truth? I can give you money. How much can you give? Lu Diu Kuang's eyes lit up. Lam Pham panicked. The amount of money you want, I will find a way to give it to you. You can get lost now." Before leaving, Lu Dioquang lowered his voice and said to me, "My nephew, this secret of mine is forever valid for you. As long as you offer a high enough price, I will definitely sell it to you." I sent a message to Queen Nuit, "Investigate Lu Dioquang's situation." Turning my head, I saw Lam Pham about to leave. I casually said, "If you don't want others to know, don't do it in the first place. The matter between you and Lu Dioquang, do you think I can't find out about it?" Lam Pham froze. "What on earth are you talking about? I don't understand. Just what kind of major leverage does he hold on you that forces you to give him money every single month like that? What nonsense are you talking? I advise you, if you still have the energy, you should worry about thinking of a way out for yourself. Don't waste any more time on me. Where is Lu Le? She is your mother, so if you ask me, how should I know?" Lam Pham quickly ran away. I called Lu Li. "I want you to come back and apologize to Miss Tam." "I'm not coming back. Miss Tam won't let me off." "Apologize for me. You are my son. It's only natural that a son pays the debts of his mother. If that's how it is, then don't blame me for calling the police." "Why are you calling the police? I am your mother. The person I wanted to hit was you. A mother hitting her child is unalterable principle." I hung up on Lu Lei directly. Tham Hu So was finally released after 48 hours of temporary detention, returning to the hospital room. Tham Hu So was having a meeting in the AV car downstairs. I sat by the bedside without leaving. Grandma patted her grandson-in-law's hand. "We are all one family, why say these words? Moreover, seeing that rascal protect you, I am more than happy." It was the words "one family" that made my eyes feel hot. At this time, Lam Pham had scraped together 50,000 RMB to give to Lu Dioquang, and threatened him, "Keep a tight lip on your mouth, otherwise neither of us will have a good end." His heart was full of fear. He only wanted to quickly marry Tam Han. As long as he became the son-in-law of the Tem family, even if his identity was exposed, he would still have a way out. At 9 p.m., Tam Han suddenly came to find Lam Pham. Lam Pham was overjoyed. "Sister Tam Han, why are you here?" Tam Han asked with a serious expression. "About the matter on Dr. Vu's side. Are you absolutely sure you finished talking with him?" Lam Pham evaded her gaze. "Of course." "Then arrange for me to meet Dr. Vu for a moment." Lam Pham nervously dug his fingernails. "Dr. Vu has gone abroad. When he returns, I will arrange it immediately." "Sister Tam Han, do you have any problem that needs solving? Let me help you contact him." Tam Han looked at him with suspicion. "I already sent the problem to your mailbox. Send it to Dr. Vu, and ask Dr. Vu to help solve it. I will forward it to him right away." Lam Pham had already memorized the password to Madame Lam's mailbox. He had discovered that Dr. Vu always replied to Madame Lam's emails in a split second, and never asked any further questions, which was why he dared to lie. He manipulated his phone, and forwarded it immediately. "Doctor, Vu will usually reply to my messages immediately. Sister Tam Han, please wait a moment." In the VIP hospital room, my phone vibrated. I glanced at it. It was an email sent by Madame Lam Xiaovu. "Can you help solve this problem?" In the attachment of course was the difficult technical problem of the Tem group. I let out a sneer. Lam Pham actually used Madame Lam's name to ask for my help. I replied coldly. "I am only responsible for the Lam family. The problems of the Tem group do not fall within my scope of management." The notification ringtone on Lam Pham's side rang out. He excitedly opened the email, but the moment he saw the content clearly, his smile instantly froze. Tham Han frowned and asked, "What's wrong?" Lam Pham suppressed his nervousness, forced a smile, and said, "Dr. Vu said that this problem will take a few days to solve." Tham Han breathed a sigh of relief. "That's normal. This problem is indeed a bit difficult. I already made a bet with Lam Vu's group earlier. The plan must be presented by Friday." "No problem, right? No problem." Lam Pham's eyes flitted with fluster again. Tham Han returned to the Tem family home. Her father, Tam Nguyen Keat, rarely smiled at her. "As expected of my good daughter, to actually be able to invite Dr. Vu. So quickly you can gain a firm foothold in the research department." Her mother, Lu Mai Chan, was also moved to tears. Tham Han clenched her fists tightly. Since she had chosen this path of arranged marriage, she absolutely would not regret it. And Lam Pham could only belong to her. On the other side, I sneezed, then continued to bury my head in work. The water glass was empty. The space in front of me suddenly went dark. Tham Hu So poured a glass of water and placed it on the small tea table. I was slightly stunned. "Thank you." "Don't mention it." Tham Hu So did it casually, then naturally sat back in her old spot. The old lady looked at us and couldn't close her mouth from smiling. She had already started flipping through the dictionary to name her great-grandchild. The next day, Tam Han blocked me in the break area of the research department. "Tonight there is an industry exchange on new energy. Those who can participate are all big figures in the industry. I heard that Dr. Vu might also attend." I didn't stop my steps. "So what?" "The research department of the Tem group has an invitation. I can take you there, to broaden your horizons and network with more people. No need, thank you. Without even turning my head, I walked straight into the office. Team leader Lam Am. Q sneered, wanting to bribe him with just an invitation. Lam Vu isn't that short-sighted yet, Thamhan said with a cold face. You should understand clearly that I can bring him much better resources than this. That kind of party, do you think just anyone can attend? At least I can take him there. At off-work time, Lam Am Q called me back. Tonight I have some business. Come with me. I didn't think much of it. Sent a message to Tom Huso saying I was working overtime, and then got into her car to go to the party entrance. The waiter blocked Team Leader Lam. Sorry, Team Leader Lam. The people from the TEM group coming today have all been notified to us in advance. Your name is not on the list. Thamhan walked out holding a champagne glass, narrowing her eyes at Team Leader Lam. The research team is busy with development tasks. I thought you wouldn't come, so when reporting the list I declined it on your behalf. Now I'm afraid it's too late to add your name. You'd better go back. Team Leader Lam flew into a rage. Thamhan, you are really too much. On what basis do you dare to arbitrarily decline on my behalf? I am the Deputy Director of the R&D Department, so naturally I can make decisions for you. Thamhan turned to look at me, Lam Vu. Have you seen clearly now? Without my consent? You people can't even get through this gate. I casually raised my eyes. Is that so? I took out from my inbox the electronic invitation that Queen Wiet had sent, showing it to the waiter. Can we enter now? The waiter only took a glance, immediately made way respectfully. Please come in. Thamhan's expression changed drastically as she stared intently at the official invitation on my phone. By what qualification did you get this invitation? What does it have to do with you? I turned off the screen and said to Lam Am Q, shall we go? Lam Am Q was extremely surprised and delighted, leading me into the hall to introduce me to the big figures in the industry. Right during the social greetings, Lam Pham and Tam Han walked over. Seniors like President Lam, upon seeing Lam Pham, immediately surrounded him. Young Master Lam, when on Earth will Dr. Vu make an appearance, so we can seek his guidance a bit? Lam Pham enjoyed being sought after, his face putting on a reserved look. Today I am only accompanying my fiancée. Thamhan also took the opportunity to build connections. Lam Am Q was pushed to the sidelines, saying to me disappointedly, Queen Wiet will arrive in a bit. Don't be shy. Be a bit thick-skinned and go over to offer her a drink. There are so many people who want to get to know her. The corner of my mouth twitched. I will introduce President Kui to you in a bit. Lam Am Q thought I was bragging. At this time, there was a commotion at the entrance. Queen Wiet had arrived. Lam Pham casually adjusted his suit and then walked toward me. Lam Vu, do you need me to introduce President Kui to you? Thamhan also mocked. Do you think Queen Wiet is the kind of woman who falls for handsome guys? So many handsome men follow her around, yet she doesn't even bother to care. Do you really think you're that attractive? Lam Pham led Thamhan toward Queen Wiet. President Kui. Before he could finish his sentence, Queen Wiet brushed past them like a gust of wind. Under the astonished gaze of the entire hall, she excitedly rushed over to stand right in front of me. Why are you here? This scene instantly plunged the entire hall into a dead silence. Lam Pham's extended hand froze in midair. Before the smile on his face could fade, it froze into a ridiculously terrified expression. Thamhan was even more dumbfounded, the champagne glass in her hand almost dropping to the floor. President Kui, could it be that you've mistaken him for someone else? Lam Pham said with a trembling voice. He is Lam Vu, just an idle freeloader of our family. Queen Wiet didn't even bother to look at him, only looking at me with bright eyes. Boss, I sent you dozens of emails inviting you to attend, but you kept saying you weren't free. So it turns out you were micro-traveling here. I gave a helpless smile, just accompanying my leader to handle some personal matters. Boss? Boss! Thamhan shrieked, her voice completely changing. Queen Wiet, you called him boss. How isn't he just a scumbag? Freeloading off that hooligan wife. Queen Wiet turned her head with a cold face, her gaze sharp as a knife. Miss Tam, please have some self-respect. The person standing in front of you is the technological core that your TAM group cannot get even if you beg for it. He is also the rumored figure who has never shown his face. Dr. Vu. As soon as she finished speaking, a suppressed gasp of shock erupted from the crowd. Impossible. Lam Pham completely lost his composure. He pointed his finger at me and roared, the doctor has clearly always been in contact with my mother. How could he be this illegitimate son? Lam Vu? What kind of love potion did you give Queen Wiet to make her act out this play with you? I stepped forward and looked at him coldly. Lam Pham, you secretly took Madame Lam's phone to send that email. Did you really think I didn't know? You are only responsible for the Lam family. Isn't that what you just received? Lam Pham's face instantly turned deathly pale. His legs went weak and he collapsed right on the spot. Thamhan could barely stand steady. She looked at me, her eyes filled with regret and ridicule. She always thought I was struggling in the mud, which was why she wanted to use 50,000 RMB to humiliate me. But in the blink of an eye, I had become the god that she had to look up to right now. There was a commotion outside the door. Madame Lam, supported by Aunt Lan, actually walked in. Her complexion was rosy and her steps were steady, completely devoid of her sickly appearance from yesterday. Lam Vu. Madame Lam walked straight toward me, her eyes brimming with tears. That medicine was researched by your own hands, wasn't it? I nodded. Do you feel better? Much better. Madame Lam turned her head to look at Lam Chan Nam and Lu Li, her voice cold yet firm. Chan Nam, didn't you always want to meet Dr. Vu? He is right here. Furthermore, my confidant Trankit has already told me the truth about that year. Aunt Lan stepped forward and stared intently at Lu Li. Lu Li, did you think that swapping the babies at the hospital could be hidden for a lifetime? All these years I have always been investigating and observing. You are also a woman yet. You didn't care about your biological son at all. On the contrary, you treated another person's child abnormally. That excessive concern was something I found amiss long ago. That DNA test report, I have already done it. She threw out a report sheet. Lam, Chan Nam tremblingly picked it up. After seeing the results clearly, he abruptly turned around and landed a fiery slap right across Lu Lei's face. You dared to use your own bastard child to swap with my son. Lu Lei let out a wretched shriek and completely collapsed. Lam Pham looked at the report sheet and wailed in despair. No, I am the eldest young master of the Lam family. I am the rightful heir. Lam Chan Nam gầm lên một tiếng căm mồm. I watched all of this coldly. Wealthy status, blood relations, the things that once bound me, at this moment were as light as a feather in my eyes. Boss, the car is ready, Quingwit reminded me in a low voice. I turned around about to leave, but my hand was gently caught by someone. Pham, who so without me realizing when was standing behind me. She had changed into an ink-black long dress, the injury on her back hidden beneath her clothes. The way she looked at me no longer held its previous coldness. Mr. Lam, she spoke softly, carrying a hint of dependence that even she herself didn't notice. Grandma is still at the hospital waiting for us to go home. I looked at her and the softest place, deep within my heart, skipped a beat. As we were about to head home and stepped out of the banquet hall, Tham Han rushed out weeping wretchedly. Lam Vu, I was wrong. Can we go back to our college days like before? My footsteps didn't stop at all. Without even turning my head, I left her with a final sentence. Miss Tam, you once said an illegitimate son and a street urchin are a match made in heaven. I think you and Lam Pham right now are truly a match made in heaven. Behind us was Tom Han's despairing cries, while ahead was the brilliant night scenery of Hai Than. Inside the car, Tam, who so suddenly asked me about that neurology book. When are you going to return it to me? I raised an eyebrow and looked at her. Is CEO Tum checking up on my movements? She turned her face to look out the window, the rims of her ears turning slightly red. I'm just afraid that this Dr. Vu might run away one day, and Grandma will tear this Tem group apart. I let out a helpless laugh, and naturally put my arm around her shoulder. This time she didn't dodge at all. Rest assured the contract hasn't expired yet, and besides, this husband of yours hasn't even been officially made permanent yet. 3 months later, on the day that the clinical trial drug for treating Alzheimer's disease was successfully researched, Hai Than welcomed its first rain since the beginning of autumn. When I walked out of the laboratory, I already saw Tam Huso waiting at the door. In her hand, she held a black umbrella, and she was wearing the outfit I had seen countless times, that ink-colored long dress. She seemed to have been waiting for a long time. Few tiny raindrops lingered on her strands of hair. Grandma told me to come pick you up. Her tone was still as nonchalant as ever, but I could already see from that face, which originally had no expression, something a little unusual. The rims of her ears had turned red again. I stepped forward, naturally took the umbrella, and pulled her closer to me under its canopy. CEO Thumb coming in person to pick me up. I really feel so honored. She glanced at me, saying nothing but also not dodging. On the road, as the car drove toward the Tem family's old house, she suddenly spoke up about that divorce agreement. I turned my head to look at her. She paused for a moment, her gaze sweeping across the rainy scenery rapidly passing by outside the window. Her voice was as soft as if she were talking to herself. Grandma tore it up. I was dazed for a moment, then laughed. Then what should we do? Tom Hu so hesitated, rarely revealing a bit of fluster. She said, she went through so much trouble to find a grandson-in-law for me, so we can't divorce. I said nothing, just quietly looked at her. She finally turned her head and met my gaze. Outside the car window, the rain was still drizzling. Inside the car, it was so quiet that we could clearly hear each other's breathing. Her eyes were very bright, as if containing all the starlight after the rain. Lam Vu. She called my name, her voice clear and elegant, yet carrying a gentleness that even she herself didn't notice. That medicine of yours is about to be used for Grandma. Tonight, the first course of treatment will begin. She nodded, kept silent for a moment, and then said again, "Thank you." I looked at her, suddenly wanting to tease her a little bit. Just a verbal thank you. She was stunned, seemingly not expecting me to say that. That face, which was always as cold as ice and snow, briefly flashed a look of embarrassment. I let out a laugh and reached out to pat her head. Hateful. She glared at me but didn't dodge my hand at all. The car stopped at the Tem family home in front of the gate of the old villa. The rain had stopped, and a streak of evening sunlight appeared on the horizon. The old lady had been waiting at the door early on. Seeing us get out of the car, she immediately welcomed us with a squinting smile. Holding my hand with one hand, and Tom Husso's with the other, she led us into the house. "Hurry up, hurry up! The whole family is waiting for the two of you to come back and have dinner." At the dining table, the old lady kept picking up food for me, then picking up food for Tom Husso. Her mouth was still murmuring, "Grandson-in-law, eat more. You rascal, eat more too. Both of you have gotten thinner." Rarely Tom Husso didn't argue against the title of rascal. She just sat there quietly eating, occasionally raising her eyes to look at me. After the meal, the old lady pulled us out to the yard to sit and drink tea. A twilight glow dyed the entire garden gold. In the air, the scent of earth after the rain lingered. The old lady suddenly spoke up. "Grandson-in-law, you rascal! Let me tell the two of you something." Tom Husso and I looked at her at the same time. The old lady smiled with squinting eyes, but a gleam of light sparkled in her eyes. "I remember now. I remember how the two of you registered your marriage. I remember now. It turned out that our marriage registration was entirely arranged by the old lady. We belonged to the category of being forced to register our marriage without even knowing it." The old lady looked at me with a squinting smile. "Grandson-in-law, you won't blame Grandma, right?" I looked at Tom so then looked back at the old lady, and couldn't help but smile. The old lady nodded slightly with satisfaction, looked at the two of us again, and then she said, "So when do the two of you plan to hold the wedding?" Tom Husso could absolutely not sit still anymore. She stood up abruptly, intending to leave. The old lady immediately pulled her hand back. "Hey, what are you doing? You're already married and still getting embarrassed." I smiled as I watched this scene, feeling that this was perhaps the very life I had always dreamed of. Tom Husso finally broke free from the old lady's grip, walked over to my side and said softly, "Let's go." I stood up to say goodbye to the old lady. She smiled with squinting eyes and waved her hand, then secretly shoved a small piece of paper into my hand. Getting into the car, I opened the piece of paper. Written on it was a line of words, "Grandson-in-law, if that rascal ever bullies you, just tell Grandma. I will help you teach her a lesson." I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Tom Husso leaned in close to look. After reading it, she fell silent for 2 seconds and then said, "Grandma's handwriting is really beautiful." I turned my head to look at her. She met my gaze and suddenly asked, "Lambu, what are you laughing at?" I looked at her, seriously joking that my luck was really good. She froze slightly for a moment. "It's like getting a wife without spending a single penny," I said, although it was fake. Now it seems it's about to become real. She stared at me for a few seconds, then averted her gaze to look out the car window, but I noticed a very slight curve at the corner of her mouth. The car slowly rolled into the night. The lights of Hython drifted casually outside the window. "Tom Husso," I called her name. "Do you have time tomorrow?" She turned her head to look at me. I looked at her with a smile in my eyes. "Let's discuss that divorce agreement." She fell silent for 2 seconds, then gave a soft, The reply was very faint, but it carried more weight than any promise in this world. Outside the window, the night in Hython was gradually deepening. While I felt that this was only just the beginning,